What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty. Join my Discord if you want to chat and share your thoughts, the link is in the description. 9 nanoseconds chapter 226 Su Ming. Why do you hit someone with your face? Su Ming knew exactly what the 5 elders were planning. It's nothing more than looking for an excuse to do something to yourself. Sengoku and others received the news and immediately realized that something was wrong. In the office, Garp, Suru, and Sengoku were all present. Sengoku frowned and looked at Garp. Everyone can see what the 5 elders are planning. Now there is a question, should I protect your grandson or your apprentice? There was a hint of struggle in Garp's eyes. This is a difficult question to decide. Whether it is his apprentice or grandson, he doesn't want to give up on either of them. After hesitating for a moment, Garp stood up. The confusion on his face was gone, replaced by a determined look. I will go to the Saboti Islands myself and stop that kid Su Ming on the way. If the 5 elders are to be held accountable, it will be on me alone. The only thing Garp could think of was to sacrifice himself to protect his most important family. Bang, bang, bang. Just as Garp finished speaking, there was a knock on Sengoku's office door. Outside the door, Gion walked in. Seeing Gion, everyone was a little surprised. Before anyone could speak, Gion spoke first. Senior Garp, Su Ming just asked me to tell you that you should not get involved in the Saboti archipelago. He has his own plans. That brat contacted you. Did he handle the matter himself? Garp was a little unconvinced. Sengoku, on the other hand, was relieved to hear Gion say that. Although Su Ming is usually not very well behaved, he always makes fun of these old guys. But it can still be relied upon when the critical moment comes. Since Su Ming asked Gion to convey this news, it proves that this guy does have his own way of dealing with it. Garp also realized that he was too concerned, sighed, and sat down again. Okay, then I'll leave this matter to that brat. Tell him that if there is really no other way, just push me out. I'm too old, I'm not afraid of those old guys. Garp looked at Gion and instructed. He knew that since Gion had already known the news, he would definitely rush over. Gion nodded. Well, I will definitely pass on what Garp-senpai said. Suru walked forward and straightened Gion's collar. Be careful, the celestial dragons issue must be treated with caution, and this time it's not just a matter of celestial dragons being attacked, there are also those people targeting Su Ming. His words were very obscure, but everyone present understood what they meant. Gion nodded seriously. Don't worry, sister I know, but Su Ming will definitely have his own way, so don't worry. Advertisement as Su Ming's woman, Gion has absolute trust in Su Ming. Saboti Islands, port. On Su Ming's deck, a yellow flash came closer and closer. In an instant, a figure formed on the deck. The person who came was Kizaru, one of the 4 Marine Admirals. Well, Admiral Thunder is really fast. I rushed here as soon as I heard the news, but I didn't expect that I was still a step behind. I didn't slack off on my work, so my salary shouldn't be deducted, I'll keep it within the limits. Kizaru still looked indecent and vulgar. Su Ming was already accustomed to Kizaru's appearance. Looking at Kizaru, Su Ming raised his eyebrows and smiled. Not really, Admiral Kizaru arrived just in time. Deducting wages is a joke. I know that Admiral Kizaru has been working hard. And Admiral Kizaru will have to work hard on this mission. I heard about it, too. It's purely a rumor. The vicious man who attacked celestial dragons also seems to have the last name Monkey. What a coincidence, he has the same last name as the leader of the Revolutionary Army, Dragon. It's just a coincidence, purely a coincidence. By the way, Admiral Kizaru, go ahead and do your work. I won't delay you from doing your work. When this mission is completed, don't forget to come to me to collect your salary. After Su Ming finished speaking, he took Doflamingo and the other 2 off the boat. Kizaru stood on the deck, staring blankly at Su Ming and the other 3 as they walked away. This threat is too blatant. The Straw Hat Boy's last name is Monkey. The leader of the Revolutionary Army also has the surname Monkey. Garp's last name is also Monkey, so rounding it off, these are Garp's family members. Before leaving, Su Ming reminded himself to collect his salary after completing the task. Kizaru had a premonition. If I don't do a good job on this mission, I won't get paid, but it would be good enough if I don't get fined. Looking at the Saboti Islands, the direction of the auction house, Kizaru scratched his head. Well, I'm a little tired after traveling all the way. I'm getting old. Adjutant, go get me a chair. I need to rest for a while. Tell the ordinary soldiers to block the port, especially a pirate named Monkey. Don't let him escape. Do you understand what I mean? Kizaru bit the last words very hard. Kizaru's adjutant had been following him for many years and immediately understood what Kizaru meant. Yes, Admiral Kizaru, I will set up defense now. The adjutant said he was setting up defenses, but the direction he left was the cafeteria. Seeing the direction the adjutant left, Kizaru nodded with satisfaction, obviously correctly understanding what his leader meant. Kizaru was guarding the port, basking in the sun comfortably, with his observation hockey fully activated. Whenever there were pirates coming over, even if they were miles away, a laser would pierce their chests. It was so accurate. Advertisement. The pirates who saw this situation all took a deep breath. It's Admiral Kizaru, run, don't get hit by the laser. However, no matter how fast these pirates ran, the lasers behind them were like Shinigami's sickles, constantly reaping their lives. Sparkling fruit, so scary. At the same time, inside the auction house. An obese celestial dragon covered his face with one hand and looked at Luffy fiercely. How dare you attack the creator of this world? You are dead, the Marine Admiral will be back here soon, and you will all die then. Inside the auction hall, the pirates who were originally there to watch the fun were now desperately trying to escape. Run. The celestial dragons are being beaten. It's over. I shouldn't have come to this damn place. Suddenly, the door of the auction house was pushed open. Oh, it looks like I came at the right time. I heard that someone beat someone up here? Su Ming, wearing a marine cloak and holding a cigarette, walked between Luffy and the celestial dragons. The celestial dragons on the ground felt that the sound was somewhat familiar. His anger made him lose his mind and he didn't think much about it. Since the person is wearing a marine cloak, there is no doubt that he is a Marine Admiral. It's him. How dare this untouchable attack me? You're the Marine Admiral, right? Kill him immediately. However, when Su Ming turned around, the fat celestial dragons saw Su Ming's face clearly, and their ferocious expressions froze suddenly. Then obvious fear appeared on his face. Why is it you? You are also a Marine Admiral, you should act impartially. The originally confident celestial dragons began to feel a little scared after seeing Su Ming. Su Ming's notoriety has spread among celestial dragons. Seeing that the rescuer was Su Ming, he didn't bother to guarantee that Su Ming would help him. Su Ming smiled mysteriously, walked up to celestial dragons, and looked at his swollen face that was hid by Luffy. Don't worry, I'm a Marine and I'm here to uphold justice. The celestial dragons on the ground breathed a sigh of relief. It seems that even this demon doesn't dare to attack me in front of so many people. Okay, then I'll leave this matter to you. Su Ming smiled slightly. Someone, come here. Catch this fat troublemaker who attacked others with his face. Celestial Dragons. Chapter 227 The First Clash of the Old and New Eras. Hearing Su Ming's words, Tesoro, who had been waiting for a long time behind him, stepped forward and pulled up the celestial dragons on the ground. You be *********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** dragons for the first time after entering the auction house, he recognized that the celestial dragons in front of him was the one who kidnapped Stella. And since this guy is here, Stella is likely to be here too. Tezulo wanted to kill the celestial dragons in front of him right now, but his reason told him not to act impulsively. Su Ming gave Tezulo a look. Tezulo immediately understood what he meant and dragged celestial dragons towards the backstage of the auction house. Su Ming naturally followed along. Luffy tried to greet him, but was held back by Zoro, who shook his head. Luffy, hurry up, now is not the time to say hello. As the second in command of the team, Zoro was well aware that he and his team were the pirates who had fought the celestial dragons. And Su Ming is the admiral who came here to carry out the mission. Su Ming didn't attack them and had already let them go. It would do no good to either party if they greeted each other again. Inside the auction hall, everyone was stunned when they saw Tezulo actually take the celestial dragons away. The celestial dragons were captured just like that? What's going on? Isn't the Marine Admiral supposed to protect celestial dragons? Why was that Straw Hat Kid okay after beating up celestial dragons? Don't worry about it. Let's go now. Even if the Marine Admiral doesn't care about the celestial dragons, the world government will be here soon. Let's go now. It will be too late if we don't leave now. Everyone in the auction hall began to want to leave. However, Doflamingo, who was sitting on the back of a chair with his legs crossed, had been waiting for a long time. Just as one of the pirates walked to an exit of the auction house, a flash of knife flashed by. A cold light flashed across Pirate's neck. Dovran's fingers clicked twice, and a figure with a long sword on his back appeared at the door. The figure raised his foot and kicked the beheaded thief down. The human head was torn off, and the blood dyed the already bright red carpet even brighter. Foo. Sorry, everyone, you can't leave. Please stay here. The moment Su Ming attacked the celestial dragons in front of these people, they were destined to die here. Although Su Ming did not give any orders, Doflamingo, as his subordinate, had to understand the situation. He had already controlled the puppets to surround the auction hall. Shi Heavenly Yaksha. Doflamingo, Shichibukai. Damn it, why is he here? You are a pirate too, why are you helping the Marine? One of the pirates called out to Doflamingo. However, just as he finished speaking, a slightly thin figure quietly appeared behind the speaker. The dagger emerged from the darkness like a snake's tongue and silently slashed across the man's neck. By the time everyone reacted and looked back, the person who had spoken had completely lost his life. Advertisement in an instant, a chill went from the soles of everyone's feet to the top of their heads. This guy is going to kill us all. Kill him. What about Shichibukai? There are so many of us. Yes, kill him first. Under the threat of death, the strangers began to band together, trying to defeat Doflamingo with their numbers. Doflamingo, who was sitting on the chair, smiled even wider when he saw this scene. Foo. No matter how many ants there are, they are still just ants. Since he was researching puppetry, Doflamingo did not choose to use Conqueror's Hockey to clean up the group of trash. In the auction hall, 4 figures were shuttling back and forth. Anyone who tried to escape died at the door without exception. Gradually, a wall of corpses was built in front of the entrance of the auction house. Outside the field, several supernovas who realized something was wrong and ran out first were still terrified when they saw this scene. This guy, it was not until this moment that several supernovas truly realized that there was an essential difference between themselves and the real big shots in this ocean. How crazy. They actually turned right into wrong and arrested the celestial dragons. Kid held the dagger in front of his chest, his eyes flashing with excitement. If I kill this guy here, the bounty should increase a lot. At the side, Luo, who ran out with Kid, was stunned and looked at Kid in disbelief. You were kidding, didn't you see what happened at the auction just now? Not to mention Doflamingo's strength, just those puppets, even if I pull out one of them, I won't be able to deal with it now. Just like that, Kid actually wanted to kill Doflamingo? Kid smiled mysteriously. Hey, of course I have my own way. Watch out, maybe today will be the day you become famous. Doflamingo, who had just cleared out the people in the auction hall, suddenly felt a beam of energy coming from outside the venue, and the target was himself. At some point, outside the field, Kid had used the power of his fruit to set up a laser cannon. Hee, guys from the last era should just sink into the sea. Kid was very confident in his attack, but in the next second, a 4 or 5 meter tall figure suddenly appeared beside Doflamingo. The figure holds a huge shield. Bang! A huge shield like a city gate stood on the ground. A heavy and solid feeling arises naturally. The laser cannon collided with the giant shield. Smoke and dust buried the entire auction hall. In the distance, Kid frowned. Dead? As soon as the words fell, a figure suddenly rushed out from the smoke and dust. Advertisement swish. The sword flashed and blood splattered. An arm fell to the ground. Foo, newcomer, it's a little too early to think about changing the dynasty now. But trial and error comes at a price. Your price is your life. In the smoke and dust, several figures walked out slowly. Doflamingo counted on his fingers. Behind him was the puppet that had just started killing people in the auction house. Originally I had no intention of chasing you since you had already escaped, but since you took the initiative to attack, you supernovas should stay here with us. And you, Luo. I didn't expect to see you here, it's just in time to settle the matter of you defecting from the family. At the same time, behind the scenes of the auction, Su Ming looked at the celestial dragons that were trembling with fear. You can't do anything to me, I'm from the Isambaren family. Su Ming raised his eyebrows. The Isambaren family, isn't that the family of the old man who was in charge of finances in the Five Elders? I really didn't expect this. Tezulo, who was standing by, noticed the change in Su Ming's expression and knew that the celestial dragon in front of him might be someone else. Boss, what do we do now? Tezulo asked nervously. Right now, Su Ming is his only support. If Su Ming couldn't take action because of the celestial dragon's family, then he would really have no hope. But after hearing what Tezuro said, Su Ming raised his eyebrows and looked at Tezuro strangely. How to do it? Do I need to teach you? Su Ming pulled out a saber and threw it to Tezulo. I don't need to teach you how to interrogate someone. Tezuro caught the saber in a daze. Boss, but his family. Su Ming lit a cigarette and patted Tezulo on the shoulder. You have 10 minutes to find out where Stella is. In 10 minutes, withdraw from Sabodi Archipelago with Dover and the others. I will handle the rest. Tezulo was touched. Although I don't know how powerful the Celestial Dragon's family is, it must be powerful to make Su Ming serious. Even so, Su Ming still stood on his side. Tezulo suddenly felt that he had not chosen the wrong person. Tezulo also wanted to say some words of thanks and express his loyalty. Su Ming interrupted him with a wave of his hand. Forget about showing loyalty, just do what you should do. Your family members were killed, but you don't even have the courage to seek revenge. You'd better stop following me. I can't afford to lose face like that. Deal with it cleanly. I'll go outside. Chapter 228, God of Finance equals Minister of Finance? Boss. Tezulo, covered in blood, walked out from backstage. Su Ming looked back. Has Stella's whereabouts been found? Tezulo nodded and gritted his teeth. Right at the auction house where slaves are held, that B********* D actually wanted to sell Stella again. Su Ming took a deep puff of his cigarette upon hearing this. Take Stella away from here first, the old guy is coming. Although Tezuro didn't know who the old guy Su Ming was talking about was, he could tell from Su Ming's serious expression that the other party was not a simple character. At least Su Ming needs to take it seriously. He didn't say anything stupid about staying here to help. If Su Ming had to take this enemy seriously, staying behind would only be a hindrance. Watching Tezuro leave, Su Ming turned around and lifted the curtain backstage. The fat celestial dragons inside were not dead, but they were naked, covered with scars, and looked miserable. Did you leave any breath? Su Ming had just reminded Tezuro to clean it up. On second thought, Su Ming guessed what Tezulo was thinking. This guy is afraid of getting himself into trouble. However, Tezulo was unaware of the conflict between himself and the Five Elders. It doesn't matter whether these celestial dragons live or die. Those old guys just wanted a legitimate reason to take action against themselves. From the moment I set foot on the Sabodi Archipelago, I was destined to fight those old guys today. Outside the auction venue, several supernovas were trapped by puppets controlled by Doflamingo. Newbie, where's your arrogant look just now? Facing Doflamingo, whose puppetry skills have been further improved, these fledgling supernovas are no match at all. At this moment, Kid finally realized how naive his previous thoughts were. The trump card that he was so proud of couldn't even break through the defense of the giant puppet. From the beginning of the battle until now, Doflamingo had been acting playful and forced several people into a desperate situation. Damn it, they both have a bounty of 300 million, why is there such a huge difference in strength? Advertisement, and didn't that Straw Hat Kid get out so easily? Is there any technique to breaking these puppets? Kid couldn't believe it. Just now, Doflamingo trapped not only himself, but also the escaping Straw Hat Luffy, who was also trapped in the middle. But the doll that was indestructible in front of him was like paper in front of the Straw Hat Boy and was broken in just a few moves. I thought Doflamingo's ability was just like that. He also wanted to defeat these puppets in one fell swoop, kill them at the same time, and increase his bounty again. As a result, when they fought, Kid found out that he was completely wrong. The material of these dolls is harder than sea stone. What's outrageous is that these dolls can also use hockey. Not to mention annihilating these puppets in one fell swoop, it would be good enough if I could leave alive today. Damn it, there must be some trick. How did that Straw Hat guy find out? Doflamingo didn't know what was in Kid's mind. If I knew, I would definitely sympathize with Kid. Luffy was able to easily escape from his encirclement, but it couldn't be said that he had no skills at all. The trick is that his last name is Monkey. It's a pity that your last name, Kid, is Eustace. If your last name is also Monkey, don't even think about rushing out. Lousy will even have puppets line the streets to welcome you and see you off. Seeing that the supernovas had almost exhausted all their methods, Doflamingo prepared to wipe out these ignorant guys here. However, just as Doflamingo raised his hand, Dover, the boss wants us to leave the Saboti Islands immediately. Tezulo, holding an unconscious woman in his arms, shouted to Doflamingo. Dover's hand paused as he noticed the woman in Tezulo's arms. Apparently, this is Tezulo's lover, Stella. Tezulo came to Doflamingo. The boss should be dealing with tough enemies, and he will be a hindrance here. Seeing that the people had been rescued, Enel, who had been watching the excitement from the side, also came out. Are you leaving? What about these little guys? Enel pointed at the newcomer who was being bullied by Doflamingo. Advertisement. Doflamingo glanced at a few people, especially at Trafalgar Law, and finally looked away. Although these little guys were no match for him, they could definitely struggle for a while under the threat of death. This was contrary to Su Ming's orders. After a brief hesitation, Doflamingo made his decision. Since that's what the boss wants, they should save their lives, leave quickly and don't waste time. After saying that, the three of them no longer cared about the supernovas and turned away. Seeing those people leave, the supernovas all breathed a sigh of relief. Huh, gone. What a scary guy. There's actually someone behind that guy? Is that the Marine Admiral? Luo clenched his fists as he watched Doflamingo walk away. Damn it, this guy. Can I really kill him? The fight with Doflamingo made him doubt himself. On the auction stage, Celestial Dragon's body was lying on the stage with a saber stuck in its chest. Su Ming sat on the steps, wiping the thunder gift in his hand. The originally bustling auction hall was now empty except for Su Ming. Suddenly, the door of the auction house was opened again from the outside. A figure did not panic after seeing the situation clearly, and walked towards Su Ming calmly. Su Ming, what is the crime for killing celestial dragons? You are also a celestial dragon, so you should know this clearly. As the god of finance among the five elders, it seems I have no choice but to take action against you. Su Ming slowly raised his head and looked at the bald old man holding a knife in front of him with a playful smile. Are you the only one here? I thought all five of you old guys would come. By the way, I've always thought your title of financial martial god was weird. Honestly, did you change your title to Minister of Finance because you saw other people's titles were the strongest man, the strongest creature, etc., and you felt that it was not cool enough? The bald five elders Isambaren v Nasujiro snorted coldly, a little angrily. He slowly pulled out the long knife in his arms. A weird and strange aura instantly enveloped the entire auction hall. The terrifying aura formed a vague shadow behind him. Boy, today is the day you die. Chapter 229. Thunder resounds across the sea. Die. Five elders Nasu Shoroshang shouted, and all the nearly 2-meter-long blades were unsheathed. There have been rumors that the sword in your hand is the first-generation demon sword Onikiri. I didn't expect it to be true. This aura, haha, is really annoying enough. Su Ming stood up slowly, with a half-smile on his face. The blade of the magic sword in the five elders' hand was purple-black, and it had been emitting a strange aura since it was drawn out of the scabbard, trying to influence Su Ming's will. The sword intent emitted by the demon sword alone is enough to make people hallucinate. Su Ming seemed to hear countless wrong souls screaming in his ears. When top experts fight each other, they cannot be distracted for even a moment, otherwise the next moment will be a matter of life and death. The five elders in front of him was undoubtedly also a supreme swordsman. A swordsman of this level, holding such a magic sword, was truly terrifying to the extreme. If it were any other swordsman, he would probably be defeated without even fighting. Unfortunately, his opponent today is Su Ming. Su Ming stood up and the thunder gift at his waist was unsheathed. Lightning flashed on the blade, accompanied by bursts of thunder. When Su Ming heard the voice, his eyes instantly cleared up. The strange aura of the demon sword began to recede as if it was showing fear when it encountered the lightning-like sword intent emitted by Lei Si. The two knives seemed to be natural enemies. When evil energy encounters the extremely powerful force of thunder and lightning, it is naturally restrained. Over the years, Lei Si has long since transformed into an unrivaled sword under the nurturing of Su Ming's lightning power. Your knife. The five elders frowned as they looked at the thunder gift in Su Ming's hand. He also felt that the demon sword was restrained. But among the 12 supreme swords, I don't think I've ever heard of such a sword. Su Ming smiled faintly and didn't reply, but his eyes became sharp the next second. The lazy temperament on his body was restrained, and was replaced by an extremely sharp aura. Old man, to be honest, I haven't used my full strength in all these years. I hope you won't let me down. Cut. Su Ming stepped on the ground with his toes, and his figure turned into a flash of lightning. In an instant, he appeared in front of the bald five elders and slashed with a knife. Clang. The bald five elders blocked Su Ming's attack with his magic sword. However, the aftermath of the attack spread outward in the form of a slash mixed with lightning. Wherever the sword flashed, everything was cut off without exception. The bald five elders was not willing to be outdone, and swung his sword in reverse, his power no weaker than Su Ming's. The two attacked faster and faster, and countless slashes continued to spread outward from the two of them. The battle area of 100 meters almost became a vacuum zone due to the destruction of the slashing. Outside the port, Supernova and other pirates who had just escaped stared at the scene in disbelief with their eyes wide open. What the hell is this monster? Kid looked at the flying slashes and his body shook unconsciously. I was almost about to take action against this monster just now. Although he was almost killed by Doflamingo at this moment, Kid actually felt some gratitude towards Mingo. If this person hadn't stopped me, I would have died 800 times. Is this the peak power of this ocean? The person who made the move should be the Marine Admiral. Admirals are so strong. Then who are the people fighting the Admiral? Are they the pirates? On the warship in the distance, Kizaru's eyes twitched when he heard what these people said using his observation hockey. I'm not. I didn't. Don't talk nonsense. This level of combat is no longer at the Admiral level. I didn't expect that Lord Su Ming is so terrifying. He is so young. It's really amazing. Advertisement. Kizaru was not exaggerating this time, but was really shocked. Su Ming is not yet 30 years old and is far from his prime. What's more, Su Ming is a top physical fighter like Garp, and his peak period is much longer than others. Doesn't that mean that Su Ming's strength will continue to grow in the next few decades? Thinking of this, Kizaru took a deep breath. He could no longer imagine what Su Ming's ultimate strength would be. Will Haki, Taijutsu, and Fruit abilities develop to new heights in the hands of this monster? Will the world's pattern undergo earth-shaking changes because of Su Ming alone? These seemingly impossible things now happened to Su Ming, and Kizaru suddenly felt that they were not so far-fetched. At the same time, on the sea, the top forces from all sides have also received the news. Within the Whitebeard pirates, Dad, Su Ming fought against the five elders in Sabayati archipelago. Marco said excitedly. As a senior cadre of the Baituan, he naturally knew some things that others did not know. I also have some understanding of the pinnacle of power in this world. The five elders, those are old guys who have ruled the world for 800 years. Such monsters actually attacked Su Ming. But Marco is also a little strange. Dad, isn't Su Ming also a celestial dragon? Why would the five elders attack their own people? Sitting in the chair, Whitebeard tilted his head back and took a sip of wine. There was a beautiful female nurse next to him who sighed when she saw this. Compared to previous years, Whitebeard now looks like a hero in his twilight years. His body is full of needles, and some old injuries that he didn't care about in his early years are now showing as he gets older. But even so, his powerful aura could not be ignored. Su Ming and the five elders have never been on the same boat. He and the world government are just using each other. The world government does this a lot. It's just that this time the five elders went a little too far and accidentally raised a monster that could overturn the world. Now those five old guys can no longer tolerate Su Ming and his night bar. This is a complete break between them. Just wait and see. After this battle, the world will definitely undergo tremendous changes. Interesting, Roger. I didn't expect that the first challenger to the new era you ushered in would not be the pirates, but the people from the world government. Whitebeard tilted his head back and took another sip of wine, his smile growing even wider. At the Revolutionary Army base, Long was trembling as he looked at the message in his hand. Notify all comrades to move out immediately and put full pressure on the world government. Dorag said with some agitation. He knew Su Ming's strength, and he believed that even if he fought against the five elders, Su Ming would not be defeated. But the world government still has ancient weapons and some trump cards that have not been played. If the five elders are defeated, the world government is likely to use these things. What Dragon has to do now is to use all his strength to put pressure on the world government. Su Ming and the five elders have already fallen out, so there is no need to worry about the relationship between the Revolutionary Army and Su Ming being exposed. This time, the Revolutionary Army will stand up for their leader. New World, a hidden island, inside the training ground of the base. A figure was dancing with a barbell weighing thousands of pounds, making gusts of sound in the wind. Teacher Zephyr, I just received news that Admiral Su Ming and the five elders are fighting in Sabayati archipelago. Bump. Zephyr put down the huge barbell in his hand and a playful smile appeared on his face. This brat finally made a move. Fine, now that my strength has almost recovered, I will fight him. Notify the soldiers to take out all the excavated explosive rocks. Su Ming won't lose, but if the world government can't afford to play tricks, Laozi will drag them down with him. Advertisement. At this moment, Zephyr felt that the heroism of his youth seemed to have returned. City of Water. Khalifa played with her golden hair. She was holding a special Den Den Mushi in her hand. Now the night bar has issued a top directive. Starting today, all night bars and their related industries will stop being open to people related to the world government. Cut off all funding to the world government. Since we are going to have a falling out, let's do it thoroughly. This time we need to let those old guys know that we are no longer the kind of people that can be manipulated by them at will. The Fish-Men Island. Shirahoshi sat on the head of a sea king and looked up at the sea. Sure enough, the world government took action against Master. Princess Otahime came over from not far away and looked at Shirahoshi with a little concern. Daughter, have you thought it through? Do you really want to do this? It will be impossible for us mermaids to return to land through the world government. Shirahoshi didn't take it seriously. Mother, the world government has never treated us as one of our own kind. Instead of relying on them, we should rely on ourselves. Only by overthrowing the world government can we gain true equality and freedom. No matter what, I will stand on the side of the master. I have no control over what happens on land, but starting today, world government ships can no longer sail on the sea. As soon as the words fell, hundreds of giant sea kings in the bottomless abyss opened their eyes. They gathered around Shirahoshi, making the spacious sea seem crowded. And Shirahoshi stepped on the head of one of the sea kings like a queen. Princess Otahime looked at Shirahoshi, finally sighed, turned around and left without further persuasion. My daughter has grown up, and from today on, the fate of the mermaid tribe is in her hands. For a time, almost all forces related to Su Ming were mobilized. Sabayati Archipelago. The originally prosperous island has been shattered by the attacks of Su Ming and the Bald Five Elders. The two of them suddenly stopped in tacit understanding. Su Ming shook the blade and looked at the Five Elders. Old man, the warm-up is almost over, now it's time to get serious. Thunder Emperor Wushan. Su Ming let out a low groan, and dark lightning poured into his body, causing Su Ming's height to suddenly increase by several meters. The thunder gift in his hand turned into a lightsaber under the stimulation of lightning. Thunder flashed in the void, forming dozens of long swords that fell behind Su Ming and turned into sharp wings. The terrifying momentum tore the sky apart. In the blink of an eye, the area within 100 miles was completely covered by thunderclouds. On the opposite side, the Bald Five Elders looked at Su Ming's changes, and the murderous intent in his eyes was no longer concealed. Mysterious patterns began to appear on his face and a cloud of flames rose behind him. Boy, you haven't used your fruit ability in many years. You should be proud of yourself for dying in my state. Su Ming smiled coldly. It seems that the old man in front of me underestimates me. I'll give you this too. Come to think of it, you guys always thought I was eating thunder fruit. The Bald Five Elders was stunned. Suddenly, I had a bad feeling in my heart. Su Ming laughed, and the thunder in the sky became even more piercing. To borrow the words of a middle school student, old man, today I will let you feel the power of God. 1,000 Thunderbolts. Chapter 230 The Fall of Five Elders. In the sky, thunderclouds rolled and thunder dragons poked their heads out from the clouds. The tiny lightning emitted by the thundercloud fell on the ground, and immediately blasted a pit several meters deep in the ground. On the sea, people who had already left the battle circle looked in the direction of Sabayati Archipelago, feeling a lingering fear. Is this really a power that humans can achieve? Luo swallowed, a layer of cold sweat already seeping out of his back. Just because in front of him, the entire Sabayati Archipelago was covered by thunderclouds. People shrouded in clouds could not see the full picture of Su Ming's move. But people outside the battle circle could see it clearly. Passing through the thunderclouds, above the thunder dragons, a gigantic figure made entirely of black lightning looked down at the Sabayati Archipelago below like a god. On the battlefield, the Bald Five Elders looked at Su Ming warily. Through his observation hockey, he also felt the terrifying lightning in the sky. Combined with what Su Ming just said, he had a bad feeling in his heart. This kind of power is definitely not as simple as eating thunder fruit. Damn it, what kind of fruit did this guy eat? Why is it not recorded in the illustrated manual? Su Ming looked at the expressions of the Five Elders, smiled faintly, and slowly raised the right hand holding Lei Si. Old man, if I can't kill you in 3 moves, I'll let you do whatever you want today. As soon as he finished speaking, countless thunder dragons in the sky swooped down with roars and screams. The Bald Five Elders was about to defend. However, he discovered that these thunder dragons were not targeting him. Instead it was Su Ming himself. In the blink of an eye, Su Ming was bathed in lightning. The thunder that enveloped the entire Sabayati Islands was poured into Su Ming's 5 or 6 meter tall body. Along with the terrifying thunder giant, the thunderclouds dispersed and the sky cleared up again. The sea fell into deathly silence for a moment. In the center of the battlefield, Su Ming stood in midair and slowly opened his eyes. At this moment, his eyes had turned blue-white and his pupils had disappeared. A thunder mark appeared faintly between the eyebrows. A cloud of fire surrounds the back of the neck. Su Ming slowly raised Lei Si. Wherever the lightning passed, the space became wrinkled like paper. Looking at Su Ming at this moment, the Bald Five Elders became extremely alert. The moment Su Ming pointed the tip of the knife at himself, he felt a great sense of crisis in his heart. Cut. Su Ming uttered a word softly. The next second, the pressure broke out like a flood. The knife flashed. The terrifying thunder and lightning erupted completely along with the slashing blow. Lightning flashed, as if night and day were alternating repeatedly. The Five Elders held the magic sword across his chest, blocking Su Ming's attack. Under the impact, Blood oozed from the corners of his eyes, nostrils, and mouth. Advertisement. On the sea, the knife light hit the red line. After a few breaths, the dazzling lightning dissipated. Everyone opened their eyes and looked towards the place where the knife light passed, and they all took a deep breath. A gap was cut in the red line. The red line that originally divided the Grand Line into two parts, front and back, was actually connected by Su Ming's slash. At this moment, the sea water is constantly pouring in. Soon a strait was formed connecting New World and the first half of the Grand Line. At this moment, everyone's cognition was overturned. On the sea, if the top warriors exerted their full strength, they might be able to sink a small island. But no one has ever broken through the red line. Continent and island are two completely different concepts. On the battlefield, the bald five elders, who had transformed into a long-necked monster, wiped the bloodline from the corner of his mouth and stood up. Boy, I really underestimated you, but it is impossible to kill an old man like me. He has ruled the world for 800 years. Do you think there have been no other challengers during this period? Looking at the five elders who stood up, Su Ming frowned slightly. The attack just now was almost all of his strength. The old man in front of him was indeed seriously injured by that attack. But in just a short while, this guy's injuries had almost completely recovered. There was some strange black aura at his wound, which was exactly the same as the aura emitted by the demon's sword before. It was these auras that helped him recover from his injuries to this extent in such a short time. As expected, he can rule the world for 800 years. He can't be a simple character. Su Ming thought to himself. From the looks of it, the bald five elders in front of me seem to be a devil fruit of the zone mythical beast species. The other party's appearance was too strange, and Su Ming couldn't guess what kind of devil fruit it was for a moment. However, Su Ming did not give much thought to this issue. No matter what devil fruit this old guy has, just kill him. Su Ming raised the thunder gift in his hand again. It was still a terrifying blow with the same power as before. The people who had already hidden far away have begun to accept Su Ming's terrifying strength. The aftermath dissipated, and although the five elders in front of him were still seriously injured, their wounds recovered quickly just like before. Kid, it's useless. Although your attack is very powerful, I can't stop it. But how many times can you use this kind of attack? As soon as you withdraw from your current state, that will be your death. Su Ming's strength at this moment is indeed very strong, and he cannot resist him. But he could also see that Su Ming was in an overloaded state at the moment. The power of the fruit plus his strong body pushed to ultimate gave him his current strength. As long as Su Ming exits this state, he will inevitably enter a period of weakness, and then he can easily win. The bald five elders seemed to have seen the balance of victory tilt towards him. However, after hearing the words of the five elders, Su Ming still just raised the thunder gift in his hand. Advertisement. The five elders looked at Su Ming and sneered. Boy, I have already said that this kind of attack has no effect on me. It's a dying struggle. I will accept the business you run without hesitation. As the financial manager among the five elders, he has always been keeping an eye on the wealth in Su Ming's hands. Once he obtains the wealth in Su Ming's hands, his status among the five elders will definitely rise again. It would not even be difficult to become the most powerful one among the five. However, facing the chattering of the five elders in front of him, Su Ming seemed to be deaf to it. Only the lightning sword wings behind him vibrated slightly. Old man, I told you that I would kill you within 3 moves. Do you think I would just say empty words? As soon as he finished speaking, dozens of long swords behind him instantly disappeared into the void. The pupils of the bald five elders, who had been chattering away just a second ago, suddenly shrank. What happened? What did you do to this old man? Why the hell can't I move? At some point, the long sword that had just disappeared into the void had already surrounded the bald five elders, completely blocking the space. Su Ming stood in midair, raised the knife again, and a burst of azure light flashed in his empty eyes. In Su Ming's eyes, several thin lines and red dots appeared on the bodies of the five elders. The power of the mystic death perception eyes was activated. The extreme sword technique firmly controlled the five elders in front of him, creating a great opportunity for Su Ming. The slashes made along the dead line connecting the dead points. After doing all this, the death perception eyes closed and the scene in front of him returned to normal. The bald five elders lowered his head woodenly, looking at his body which was beginning to disintegrate, and fear finally appeared in his eyes. What kind of ability do you have? You can't kill me. I'm a five elders. The five elders, who had always felt they had a sure win, now looked panicked. Unfortunately, death did not stop at all because of his shouting. Meanwhile, the holy land of Mariajoy. The remaining 4 five elders sat in the office. Tell me, how long will it take Nasu Sholangsheng to kill that kid Su Ming? Haha, although his ability is tricky, it takes time. However, killing Su Ming is only a matter of time, there is no doubt about that. Let's think about how to divide up Su Ming's assets. We can't let Nasu Sholangsheng monopolize them all. His family already has enough assets. The five elders, who was a little overweight and in charge of government affairs, said with a smile. It was obvious that several people were very confident in the bald five elders' immortality. Just at this moment, okay. The Den Den Mushi on the table suddenly rang. Haha, it should be the message from Saint Nasujuro. It seems that Su Ming is not as difficult to deal with as we thought. I still think too highly of this kid. The curly-haired five elders answered the phone with a smile. Hey, how's the battle going? Before the curly-haired five elders could finish his words, a hurried voice came from the other end of the Den Mushi. Oh no, the five elders have been killed. What? Chapter 231 King of the World. Curly-haired five elders couldn't believe what he heard. Nasujuro-sei was killed. How can that be possible? That guy's fruit ability is almost immortal. Even a few of us are not sure of killing him, so how can Su Ming? On the other end of the Den Mushi, the intelligence officer described the battle situation in a trembling voice. From the initial warm-up fight between the two to the moment when Su Ming suddenly burst out with all his strength and cut a gap in the red line, these events were described word for word. Waste. In a rage, the curly-haired five elders crushed the Den Mushi in his hand. Seeing this, several other five elders came over. What's wrong? Are you so angry? Does Nasu Sholang Sheng want to monopolize Su Ming's business? Haha, this old guy has a big appetite, but there's no need to get so angry. At worst, the four of us can boycott him together. I don't believe that old guy won't give up. Several five elders said with a smile. The curly-haired five elders took a deep breath, calmed down his excitement, and then spoke. Nasu Sholang Sheng was killed by Su Ming. For a moment, the office fell into deathly silence. After a long time, the five elders with long beard and walking stick finally reacted. You mean, Nasu Sholang Sheng was killed by that kid Su Ming? The fat five elders also reacted and stood up at once. Impossible, we all know Nasujuro-sei's abilities. Only the blonde and slightly younger five elders stood aside and remained silent. The curly-haired five elders said nothing. The five elders who had been noisy just now also quieted down. They were not doubting the words of the curly-haired five elders, they just couldn't accept this fact in their hearts. Seeing that everyone had calmed down, the curly-haired five elders repeated what he had heard in the Den Mushi. After learning about the strength Su Ming displayed in the battle with the bald five elders, several people looked at each other, not knowing what to say for a moment. This kid is really a monster. In just over a decade, his strength has caught up with ours. From this news, it seems that what Su Ming ate was definitely not the thunder fruit. What's worse is that this fruit is not included in the devil fruit encyclopedia. From the power he displayed, it is not weaker than the awakened Nika fruit at all. Also, his swordsmanship is not as simple as that of the supreme swordsman. Advertisement. Several five elders carefully analyzed Su Ming's strength. Several people were horrified to find that their inherent perception of Su Ming was completely wrong. This guy usually looks lazy and mostly slacks off when he's working. But it is precisely this guy who has become the biggest threat to the world government. The blonde five elders stood up. I suggest that now that things have developed to this point, it is no longer the time to worry about other things. The four of us should join forces to eliminate Su Ming immediately. From the strength he has shown so far, he is still no match for the four of us. But if we give him more time, we will have to alert Lord Yim and use Uranus to destroy this guy. Uranus is one of the final trump cards of the world government. It should never be used unless it is absolutely necessary. After all, if countries around the world knew that the world government possessed such powerful weapons, it would definitely cause panic. Although everyone knows that the so-called equality and freedom of the world government is false. But no one wants to be the first to burst the bubble. But the current situation is no longer suitable for anyone to worry about. After a brief hesitation, the four reached a consensus. Okay, let's go now and kill Su. Before the curly-haired five elders could finish his words, the door of the room was pushed open without anyone greeting him. Who? You don't know etiquette. The few people who were angry wanted to take revenge on the person who pushed the door. But when they saw the person's face clearly, they all looked terrified and knelt down on the ground in panic. Lord Yim, why are you here? The curly-haired five elders who led the group said in a trembling voice. Yim walked into the house without saying a word. The five elders glanced toward the corridor. Without exception, all the staff of the world government had fallen to the ground breathless, apparently deader than dead. Yim, the true god of celestial dragons and the actual ruler of world government, her identity has always been one of the biggest secrets of this world. Anyone who has seen Yim, except the five elders, will die without exception, even the celestial dragons. The five elders are no longer surprised by this. Yim looked at the sofa that had been left with marks by several people and frowned. Finally, he stood in front of the window, looking in the direction of Sabayati Archipelago, and then he spoke. Advertisement. If I hadn't come, would you idiots have destroyed the world government? The four were speechless. Obviously, Yim already knew about Su Ming. Lord Yim, this matter is our fault. We have already discussed it and now we will work together to eliminate Su Ming. This time we will definitely not. Bang. With a crisp sound, a bright red handprint appeared on the face of five elders who had just spoken, and the whole person flew backwards. It crashed through several walls before finally stopping. The five elders who were attacked had blood oozing from the corners of their mouths, and it was obvious that they had been seriously injured. But he didn't dare show any dissatisfaction on his face. He wiped the bloodline from the corner of his mouth and knelt down in front of Im again. Snort. Yim casually threw a newspaper in front of a few people. See for yourself. The curly-haired five elders who was in the lead picked up the newspaper, and the others also came over. After reading the contents of the newspaper, everyone's faces turned pale. Sir, in the newspapers, the Revolutionary Army, New World Zephyr's new Marine, and the Night Bar's public statements were all released at the same time. Moreover, in the newspapers, most of the comments about Su Ming were positive, while as for the 5 elders who died at the hands of Su Ming, all the comments were negative. He defends celestial dragons, maliciously attacks Marine Admiral, and stirs up world disputes. As the big hats were put on one after another, several people had already vaguely guessed how the civilians on the sea would view the world government. How will the leaders of various countries guard against the 5 elders? Slander. This is slander. Several 5 elders clenched their fists, veins bulging on their foreheads. Yim smiled coldly. Slander. You have been in power for so many years in vain, and you can't even control this kind of public opinion. Su Ming cannot be moved. In the current situation, if we move against him, we will be standing against all the untouchables. Tell him I want to see him in person. What the hell have you been doing for the past few hundred years? After saying that, Yim turned around and left without looking back. The 5 elders were left to face each other, and finally the conflict was completely stopped. Chapter 232, First Meeting with I.M. Sabayati Archipelago. Su Ming sheathed the lacy sword. Looking at the dead bald 5 elders, Su Ming shook his head. Your ability is quite buggy, but why do you have to pretend in front of me when you can't pretend with anyone else? The Mystic Death Eyes can be said to be the nemesis of all immortal abilities. The attacks launched through the Mystic Death Perception Eyes do not simply cause physical damage, but are based on the law of cause and effect. No matter how strong your recovery ability is, erasing a person's existence from the root. Without the cause of existence, the result of immortality will naturally not exist. Su Ming knew that this bald 5 elders had not exerted his full strength. A big reason for this is that his nearly immortal recovery ability gave him great confidence. If Su Ming really fights with all his might, he can still win, but it definitely won't be so easy. Su Ming looked at the only ship on the sea that had not left, and it was Kizaru's warship. Following moonwalk, Su Ming landed on the deck. I didn't expect that Admiral Lei Ming is so powerful now. The young people nowadays are really amazing. Kizaru, who was standing by the railing, pretended to be surprised. Su Ming smiled but didn't respond. There was no need to talk to Kizaru about killing the 5 elders. Su Ming looked around but did not see the captured pirates. Admiral Kizaru, did you fail in this mission? Kizaru was stunned for a moment, then smiled awkwardly. Admiral Lei Ming, you have to testify for me about this matter. It's not that I didn't do my mission seriously, but I didn't expect that there would be someone like Pluton Rayleigh on this island to help the new pirates. And even Thunder Admiral, you were attacked, so you were accidentally let Straw Hat Luffy and his gang escape. You can't really blame me for that. After hearing this, Su Ming showed a regretful expression on his face and patted Kizaru on the shoulder. That's a shame, Admiral Kizaru. This time it's the celestial dragons that are in trouble. If you can mess up something like this, I'm afraid you'll lose all your salary for the year. Kizaru's eyes twitched. How dare you say that? You docked my salary just because I let the pirates who attacked celestial dragons escape. Then how about you directly killed the 5 elders in celestial dragons? Besides, wasn't it you who instructed me to let Straw Hat Luffy go before? Now that the job is done, you want me to take the blame. But before Kizaru could ask, Su Ming's words followed again. By the way, Admiral Kizaru, I remember you haven't received your bonus this year yet. Su Ming smiled knowingly. Kizaru understood immediately. Everything is implied. Advertisement. Oh my god, it turns out that I was too narrow-minded. The salary is just a few dollars, the bonus is the big deal. Kizaru has already started thinking about how to spend his generous bonus. Gila Street seems like a good place to go. And I heard that Yuta's artist company has recently trained a few more beautiful female artists. How about you also sit on the top of the list for a while? Su Ming did not deliberately arrange a salary recovery plan for Kizaru. But come to think of it, this guy's salary can't go much beyond what he earns from his few industries. As for the matter of the 5 elders, the two of them tacitly agreed not to mention it. Everyone understood that compared to what happened with Su Ming, the Straw Hat Boys' fight with the celestial dragons was nothing. Marineford. As Su Ming got off the boat, 2 government workers in white suits came up. Admiral Su Ming, please come with us. The 5 elders want to see you. The 2 world government staff members tried their best to act normal, but they couldn't help but tremble when speaking to Su Ming. Su Ming looked at the 2 people and raised his eyebrows and smiled. Judging from the way these 2 people are dressed, they should be core staff members of the world government. It can be considered as a direct subordinate of 5 elders. In the past, these guys were not so respectful to the celestial dragons who joined later. After all, in the eyes of these lackeys, their backers are the 5 elders, who no one can afford to offend. But now, Su Ming actually killed 5 elders. In their eyes, Su Ming now is almost no different from a devil. Su Ming ignored the 2 staff members. He turned to look at Kizaru. Remember what I said, evacuate the residents of Sabayati Archipelago and get them out as soon as possible. Kizaru nodded. Just now on the boat, Su Ming specifically explained this matter. Although he didn't understand why Su Ming wanted the people in Sabayati Archipelago to evacuate, Kizaru agreed to help Su Ming for the sake of his salary. The core of the Celestial Dragon's Sanctuary, Little Garden. Under the guidance of the staff, Su Ming stepped into the center of Celestial Dragons for the first time. Master Su Ming, the masters are inside. Looking at the magnificent gate, Su Ming stroked his chin. He had already vaguely sensed that this meeting with the 5 elders was different. Pushing open the door, a spacious hall appeared in front of Su Ming. On top of 100 steps, more than 20 swords surrounded an empty throne. Advertisement. Below, the remaining 4-5 elders stood on the left and right. Hey, long time no see. Except for that bald old man, why didn't he come? Is it inconvenient? 5 elders. Haha, it's inconvenient. He is feeling very inconvenient now. How dare you mention it? Su Ming, watch your words. This is not a place where you can act recklessly, and this is not where we want to see you. The curly-haired 5 elders said in a deep voice, suppressing his anger. Su Ming curled his lips. At this moment, a cold voice came from the throne above. Su Ming, it's me who wants to see you. Hearing the voice, Su Ming's pupils shrank slightly. When I looked up again, I found that a figure had sat on the empty throne without me noticing. The figure was facing the light, so Su Ming couldn't see the face clearly. But judging from her slender figure and voice, she should be a woman. Ma'am. The 4-5 elders knelt on the ground with respectful expressions. I am. Su Ming showed confusion on his face. It seems that this person is the real person in power who has been hiding behind the celestial dragons. Su Ming, kneel down when you see Yimu. Several 5 elders shouted angrily when they saw Su Ming didn't take any action. Su Ming rolled his eyes. Come on, I don't even know who he is, why should I kneel down? What if you old guys are just playing tricks on me? Wouldn't I be at a huge loss? I am full of doubts about your character now. You. Okay, I'll talk to him. Yim stood up and slowly walked down the steps. The heels of my shoes made a rhythmic sound when they hit the steps. As the figure got closer, Su Ming finally saw the other person's face clearly. Su Ming felt a stir in his heart. The person who actually holds power behind the celestial dragons is actually a young woman in her 20s. It seemed that he saw what Su Ming was thinking. I am spoke again. Su Ming, pledge your loyalty to me and you will have a chance at eternal life. Chapter 233, Crazy Backstab 5 Elders. Su Ming, are you willing to be loyal to me? Yim walked down the steps and came in front of Su Ming with sharp eyes. The remaining 5 elders silently stepped forward and surrounded Su Ming. Obviously, as long as Su Ming dared to say no, several people would take action without hesitation. Judging from Su Ming's performance, this kid has no respect for celestial dragons and 5 elders, so it is unlikely that he will be loyal to Yim. However, Su Ming touched his chin and thought for 2 seconds. Okay, no problem. What a pity. Move, wait, what did you say? The curly-haired 5 elders, who was about to take action, was stunned and almost sprained his waist. Are you willing to be loyal to Lord I Am? The fat 5 elders also looked puzzled. You are a traitor. You have won over the revolutionary army, created a new marine, colluded with the pirates' 4 emperors, split the relationship between the world government and the marine, and now you have even killed the 5 elders. Any one of these things is enough to attract a bounty of billions. According to common sense, Su Ming is already a top figure in this ocean. It is almost impossible to ask such a person to be loyal to others. Even verbally, it is impossible. But this guy Su Ming agreed so readily. This was totally off script. Facing the confused 5 elders, Su Ming shrugged. I said I can be loyal, it's not a big problem, it's just a change of boss, don't I work in the marine now? But the question is, how are you going to treat me? You do the math. I think I control more than half of the world's wealth, conservatively speaking. In terms of strength, it will be no problem for him to take down 4 emperors like Kaido and Big Mom. And I have good political talent. You have all seen how I managed the Marine's military budget in the past few years. Except for Akainu and Garp, everyone else is very satisfied with me. The only minor flaw is that I like to slack off, but it's more than enough for me to succeed. Su Ming pointed at 4-5 elders. These old guys are obviously more lazy than me. I don't know how many sofas they have broken by sitting on them. Yim remembered the sofa where he sat when he went to 5 elders' office before, and glared at a few people. A layer of cold sweat suddenly broke out on the backs of the 4-5 elders. Is this what it feels like to be caught slacking off by the boss? Su Ming chuckled. So, I'm a multi-talented person. You can't just ask me to work for you by talking. You have to talk about the benefits. Isn't this the most normal thing to do? 5 elders. After listening to Su Ming's words, the 4 of them were a little confused. Advertisement. How come this guy's answer doesn't match anything I thought of? Aren't you connected with the Revolutionary Army? You shouldn't refuse indignantly and then fight to the death. But the way you are acting now is just like a profiteer, you have no bottom line at all. So you have no stance at all and just follow whoever gives you benefits, right? No, you're lying. If you really wanted to be loyal to Master Yimu, why would you kill Nasu Shorosei? He's one of the 5 elders, the celestial dragon with the highest authority. The curly-haired 5 elders seemed to have caught Su Ming's weakness and started to interrogate him. Su Ming raised his eyebrows, not showing any panic at all. You guys are slandering me. I was staying well in Sabayati Archipelago, but he came over and wanted to beat me up and kill me. Why didn't I fight back and instead stretched my head over to let him kill me? The curly-haired 5 elders was speechless for a moment. Then how do you explain that you killed other celestial dragons? The fat 5 elders continued to ask. Su Ming spread his hands and said, what's there to explain? Celestial dragons should solve its own internal affairs. I give those idiots celestial dragons so many Baileys every year, but my nephew just punched him and he called him Admiral. He obviously can't afford to play. As an elder, I must take care of it. I am not talented, so I am a bit protective. Seeing Su Ming's indifferent expression, the 5 elders were so angry that they almost vomited blood. You don't take celestial dragons seriously at all. Several 5 elders were shaking with anger. Su Ming continued speaking slowly. I say, there's no need to get so excited. There are some things that everyone knows. Are those celestial dragons really that important? I really don't see any use for them other than wasting food. You keep these guys just to make the common people always fear the so-called world nobles, and to cover up the true power of celestial dragons. But no matter what, I am now a celestial dragon, so I am half one of us, right? It wouldn't have been a big deal for me to kill such a loser, but you insisted on letting a 5 elders attack me, and ended up making things worse. If you ask me, the current chaos in the world is mostly the result of the inaction of you 5 elders. Having been at the pinnacle of power for so many years, he neither suppressed the development of the pirates nor controlled the news media. He also failed to hide the historical texts scattered around the world, and he failed to clean up the D-clan. Even the economy is falling behind as it develops. You guys really don't care about Lord Yimu at all. Su Ming shook his head and sighed. On the side, Yim, who had been silent, looked so gloomy after hearing Su Ming's words. He turned around and looked coldly at the 4-5 elders. The 4-5 elders broke out in cold sweat. Shit, wasn't it a trial of Su Ming? Why did it change to a trial of us? Seeing Im's gloomy expression, several people hurriedly knelt on the ground again, with their proud heads pressed against the ground. Advertisement. Lord Yim, please give us another chance. Su Ming hugged his shoulders and stood aside, watching the show with a smile. Yim looked at several 5 elders coldly for a moment without saying anything, then turned his gaze back to Su Ming. I said, if you are willing to be loyal to me, I can grant you eternal life. Eternal life is the greatest reward I could think of. In her imagination, no one could resist such temptation. However, Su Ming shook his head. No, this isn't really a reward. If you give me eternal life, then won't I have to work for you for the rest of my life? Impossible, absolutely impossible, Lord Yimu, even if you don't tell me, as a boss, you also have shortcomings. Frowned. Su Ming ignored him and continued. Eternal life sounds very tempting, and the stakes are high. But if I get such a benefit, I might be grateful to you for the first few decades. But after a while, they will just take it for granted. If you can't provide them with the same benefits, their enthusiasm for work will inevitably decline, and they may even do nothing. They will just sit in the office and drink tea, and in serious cases, they may even break the sofa. This is just a metaphor. It definitely doesn't refer to any 5 elders. Yim glared at the 5 elders again. The 5 elders knelt on the ground, greeting Su Ming frantically in their hearts. If you have something to say, just say it. Why are you always bullying us? If this continues, Su Ming will not die, but I will be executed by Lord Yim first. Fortunately, they had known each other for 800 years and still had some friendship, so did not take any action against them. But she had already somewhat agreed with what Su Ming had just said. The inaction of the 5 elders over the years is most likely due to what Su Ming said. It has been too long, and they have become lazy and forgotten their gifts. Then according to what you mean, what benefits do you want in order to remain loyal to me? Su Ming smiled. It's very simple. Share the benefits. Give me some supreme authority over the management of the sea area. I will manage it independently, and Lord Yimu will take part of the profits. In this way, I will definitely do my best to manage it for my own benefit, and then you, Lord Yimu, will gain more. Of course, eternal life is also desirable, but it is not a benefit. I want to serve Lord Yim for a longer period of time. I cannot compare with those guys who are just sitting there doing nothing. 5 elders. FKU, will you die if you don't make things difficult for us? Chapter 234. Yimu, I feel like my body is hollowed out. In the hall, Yim looked at Su Ming and uttered a word softly. Slowly raised his hand, and a lavender halo sphere slowly condensed in his palm. Su Ming felt a sense of danger from the halo sphere. Before Su Ming asked, Yim took the initiative to speak. There is no problem with the conditions you mentioned. Eat this, and you will gain eternal life and become one of us. Apparently, this is Yim's ability and the secret of the 5 elders' immortality. But Yim obviously didn't finish his words. From the smell it gives off, one can guess that eating it will grant one eternal life, but it will also be a shackle. Su Ming narrowed his eyes. His promise to be loyal to was just empty talk. My goal is to live freely and as I please. If I am controlled by others, what is the point of freedom? But the conditions have already been negotiated. If I don't eat this thing, and the remaining 4-5 elders will definitely attack me without hesitation. Although his strength was not weak, he was not sure that he could fight his way out when facing these people at the same time. As for the super satellite orbital cannon, that is the ultimate trump card, mainly used to counterbalance the ancient weapon Uranus, and should not be used lightly unless it is absolutely necessary. Ding. Contaminated special devil fruit energy detected, can be exchanged for 10 million lazy points. Do you want to exchange? Closing square bracket. Tip. After exchanging items for slacking points, the special energy will disappear during the period and the other party will notice it. Please be careful with the host. Closing square bracket. The system's voice suddenly sounded in Su Ming's mind. Su Ming was stunned for a moment, then he reacted. The special devil fruit energy must be the purple light ball in Yim's hand. The so-called contamination is even more obvious. Im has added something in it. Su Ming looked up at Yim in front of him. She has beautiful long blue hair draped over her shoulders, kind eyes and a pretty face, and she is about 60% similar to Princess Vivi. With her cool temperament, she is definitely a beauty. But Su Ming had only one sentence in his mind at this moment. This woman doesn't look like a good person. At the moment, he would not eat this thing no matter what, and Su Ming had never thought of becoming someone else's puppet. However, it cannot be directly exchanged for slacking points, otherwise Im will find out immediately. Just when Su Ming was in a dilemma, suddenly an idea flashed in his mind and he thought of a possibility. System, is there any way to purify the origin of this devil fruit? Ding. Purify the devil fruit essence, each consumption is 20 million points. Closing square bracket. The system sound rang again. Su Ming. Dog system, I haven't dealt with it for a long time, but it's still so black-hearted. It only costs 10 million to convert it into free time points, but it takes 20 million to purify it. Advertisement. Fortunately, Su Ming is still wealthy now, with more than 1 billion yuan of idle points lying on the books, otherwise he really cannot afford it. Yim didn't say anything, just raised his hand and looked at Su Ming coldly. The 4-5 elders kneeling on the ground behind him had a sneer in their eyes. Haha, kid, do you think you can gain Lord Yim's trust with just a few words? Although this thing can make people immortal, they will also be controlled forever. Eternal life comes at a price. The more you absorb, the more you will be controlled. As long as you eat this, you will be in trouble for what happens next. Hundreds of years ago, several people had encountered such a scene. Over the past few hundred years, although several people enjoyed eternal life, they also became slaves of the people in front of them forever. I couldn't even betray him, so I had to accept my fate in the end. The curly-haired 5 elders kneeled on the ground and made some calculations in his mind. Once Su Ming becomes a member of the 5 elders, he proposes to Lord Yim to divide up the assets under Su Ming. For the sake of balance, Lord Yim will definitely agree. After all, everyone is under control, and there is no reason for Lord Yim to favor the boy in front of him. Su Ming, are you willing to be loyal to me? Yim's cold voice once again reached Su Ming's ears. Su Ming gritted his teeth. Just do it, it's just 20 million yuan of free time, I can afford it. Su Ming snatched the purple light ball from Yim's hand and swallowed it into his mouth. Open black lens bracket ding. Host spends 20 million idle points to purify the devil fruit origin. Close black lens bracket. Inside the body, the originally purple light ball began to turn light green under a strange energy, turning into huge life energy and merging into Su Ming's body. Su Ming felt as if every cell in his body was cheering. Just like the earth that has long been blessed with sweet dew, it continues to absorb these energies. One's lifespan begins to increase continuously, and the potential of the body is further developed. The Thunder God fruit, which has never been awakened, seems to have some movement. Even Hockey, who had already reached the top, had a new idea. These were feelings Su Ming had never experienced before. Su Ming closed his eyes and felt it all. While absorbing these life energies, Su Ming also felt that he had some connection with Yim. The other party seems to be able to control himself to some extent. However, after the system is purified, Su Ming can cut off this manipulation at any time. Behind Yim, several 5 elders showed secret joy in their eyes. Hey, kid, from now on you will be like us and serve Lord Yim forever. We will also divide your wealth together. The world is still in our hands. Advertisement. The 4-5 elders quietly raised their heads and looked at Su Ming, just wanting to see the regret on Su Ming's face after learning the truth. Soon, Su Ming opened his eyes. Su Ming suppressed the excitement in his heart and didn't show it on his face. This devil fruit origin is really a good thing. Not only did it increase his lifespan, but it also enhanced his own potential and the potential of the devil fruit. 20 million is definitely worth the money. It's a pity that this one is far from enough. It would be better if there were more. Su Ming was just thinking when Yim in front of him spoke again. How does it feel to live forever? Although Yim's expression did not change, there was a flash of teasing in his eyes. Su Ming keenly caught this emotion, rubbed his chin, and spoke. Not bad, the life energy is a little less, but does Lord Yimu have any more? 5 elders. Yim. Except for Su Ming, everyone present was stunned. The 5 elders looked at Su Ming with an idiotic expression. Is this guy really crazy? He ate the essence of the devil fruit transformed by Lord Im, and he must have felt the control from the soul. Although the devil fruit essence is a good thing, the more you use it, the more you will be controlled. No one likes the feeling of being controlled by others, even if their life is threatened. After eating this thing, the few people regretted it so much that they only ate one and never ate the second one. Su Ming now actually asks if there is any more. Yim looked at Su Ming, and once again condensed a devil fruit essence in his hand and handed it to him. Since Su Ming is willing to be his slave, he has no reason to refuse. I thought that eating one more pill would be Su Ming's limit. However, half an hour later, Lord Yim, is there anything else? Su Ming looked excited, as if he had taken drugs. On the other hand, Im in front of him had bags under his eyes and looked like he had indulged in excessive sexual activities. The several 5 elders behind him had already been petrified on the spot. Yim, who was originally standing in front of Su Ming, had quietly sat down on the sofa at some point, her legs trembling under her skirt. If she hadn't felt that her control over Su Ming was getting stronger and stronger, she would really doubt whether Su Ming had really eaten the essence of the devil fruit. In half an hour, he had condensed hundreds of devil fruit essences. Su Ming ate them all like candy beans. Until this moment, not even a single devil fruit origin IM could be condensed. No, that's all. Let's leave it at that for now. From now on, you will be one of the 5 elders. You will take over Nasujuro's position. Chapter 235 Inspecting the 5 elders. From today on, you are one of the 5 elders. As for the territory, take over Nasujuro's completely. In your territory, you have the highest authority except for me, even the other 5 elders are no exception. Yim didn't look at Su Ming when he spoke, but at the remaining 5 elders. Obviously, Su Ming's incident this time has made Yim a little dissatisfied with several people. If these old guys hadn't done anything, Nasu Sholang wouldn't have died, and there wouldn't have been so many things happening today. Fortunately, Su Ming was loyal to him, otherwise the world government would definitely reveal some of its cards. The 4 of them also knew that they had caused trouble this time, so they knelt on the ground with their heads lowered and dared not say a word. The matter has been resolved perfectly, and Yim plans to return to Little Garden and continue to be her own stay-at-home girl. Several 5 elders breathed a sigh of relief upon seeing this. Although Lord Yim was somewhat dissatisfied this time, fortunately there was no actual punishment and the few people escaped. The curly-haired 5 elders quietly raised his head and glanced at Su Ming with a hint of ruthlessness in his eyes. This kid is also a 5 elder now, but there are also power struggles among the 5 elders. When Lord Yim returns, the 4 of them will join forces to sideline this kid. By then, even if Su Ming is also one of the 5 elders, he will only be the one with the weakest power and will not pose any threat to the others. The curly-haired 5 elders was thinking, but suddenly noticed from the corner of his eye that Su Ming was smiling evilly at him. The curly-haired 5 elders suddenly broke out in a cold sweat, and a bad premonition involuntarily emerged in his heart. Master Yim, please stay. I have another suggestion. Please consider it. Yim, who had just stood up and was about to leave, stopped and turned to look at Su Ming in confusion. Su Ming gave an unkind smile to the 5 elders kneeling on the ground, then bowed to Yim and said with a smile. Lord Yim, I am honored that you can make me one of the 5 elders, but please forgive me for being frank. 5 elders have too much power. If there is no supervision, it is easy for them to become passive and lazy. So I propose that Lord Yimu establish a position to supervise the 5 elders, so that we can serve Lord Yimu more proactively. The remaining 5 elders who were kneeling on the ground widened their eyes, raised their heads and looked at Su Ming in disbelief. Just jump into the fire pit yourself and don't drag us with you, okay? Is this the consequence of eating too much devil fruit essence? It turns out that he was controlled by Yim. Otherwise, which good person would put shackles on himself and find someone to supervise him? Isn't this equivalent to whipping a donkey when it gets tired of pulling the mill? Su Ming lowered his head, a smile flashing in his eyes. I won't cause trouble for myself for no reason. The reason why I said this to IM is very simple. Advertisement. This position of monitoring the 5 elders will only be produced among 5 elders including himself. It is impossible for IM to believe it if others have not eaten the origin of devil fruit. The 5 elders on the ground now made IM somewhat dissatisfied. In addition, he ate hundreds of tampered devil fruit essences in one breath. If Yim is still sane, the position of inspector will belong to him. Sure enough, after hearing Su Ming's proposal, Yim's eyes lit up and he looked at Su Ming approvingly. Then he turned around and glared at the 5 elders. Don't make the look in your eyes too obvious. Look at other people's awareness, and then look at you. Okay, your suggestion is very good. From today on, the position of supervising the 5 elders will be handed over to you. IM took out a special Den Mushi shaped like a conch from his sleeve. This Den Mushi is specially made. You can contact me at any time. Su Ming was already smiling from ear to ear. But he still pretended to be surprised and frightened. Lord Yim, I am not worthy of this position. I have just joined the 5 elders and have little experience. I cannot convince the others and am not qualified for this position. Lord Yim, please choose another person. Of course you have to act out the whole thing. If he took over the position so nonchalantly, those people on the ground would definitely not be convinced and would inevitably cause trouble for him. Now he had to force Yim to stand up for him. After hearing Su Ming's words, Yim's face darkened. I feel more and more that the previous 5 elders are difficult to control. It turned out that it was too easy for them to just eat one devil fruit origin. These guys should be made to eat a few hundred. A few more, just like Su Ming. If everyone really ate hundreds of them like Su Ming did, my body might not be able to handle it. But now it seems that the effects of hundreds of devil fruit origins are different. Everything is for oneself. This also made Yim more determined to let Su Ming supervise the remaining 5 elders. Needless to say, this matter is settled. From today on, while you are promoted to 5 elders, you will also be responsible for supervising the other 5 elders. If there are any who are slacking off or disobeying discipline, feel free to contact me using Den Mushi. This is a right I only give you. Yim's favoritism shouldn't be too obvious. The faces of the 5 elders on the ground turned green and white. Advertisement. What the hell is going on? It was agreed that Su Ming would be judged, but in the blink of an eye, he found himself a master. I have served IM for hundreds of years, and I thought that 5 elders was the highest position besides Lord IM. Who could have thought that Su Ming would create an inspector, 5 elders, with just a few words? After the matter was finalized, Yim turned and left the hall. The 5 elders also stood up. Su Ming put one hand in his pocket and held a specially made conch-shaped Den Dan Mushi in the other, looking at several 5 elders with a smile. Everyone, we are colleagues from now on. I hope you will take good care of me and cooperate with my work, otherwise it will be difficult for me to do my job. The expressions of the 5 elders changed. Although he could hear the meaning of knocking in Su Ming's words, he couldn't say a word. Damn, after all these years, none of them would have thought that one day a boss would suddenly appear above them again. Seeing that no one was talking, Su Ming did not pursue the matter and continued. By the way, Lord Yimu has given me the right to supervise you all, so as a subordinate I must do my best. So starting today, in addition to taking over Nasujuro's territory, I will also divide up some areas from the territories of the few of you so that I can supervise you more conveniently. As for how big the division will be, what the location will be, and whether you will obey or not, that all depends on your wishes. I definitely don't mean to threaten you. By the way, I will report your performance to Lord Yim regularly. This is also for Lord Yimu Sake. Su Ming has found the knack of controlling several 5 elders. If there is something to do, I will go to work. If there is nothing to do, I will just slack off. The 5 elders, whose patience had reached its limit, finally could no longer sit still when they heard that Su Ming wanted to divide their territory. Su Ming, don't go too far. We are all 5 elders, why should we? Without waiting for the curly-haired 5 elders to finish. Su Ming has already picked up the Den Dan Mushi. Hello, Master Yim. Yes, it's me, Xiao Su. The curly-haired 5 elders rushed forward and covered the Den Dan Mushi with his hands, forcing a smile that was uglier than crying. Haha, Master Su Ming, don't be angry. What I mean is that we are all 5 elders, so of course we have to cooperate with each other. Well, I'll make my position known first. When I get back, I'll allocate half of the most fertile area in the territory to Lord Su Ming to build an office. Su Ming showed a satisfied smile on his face. That's a good attitude, but half of it is a little small. We are all adults, you know what I mean. Curly-haired 5 elders. Yes, I understand. From now on, that piece of land will belong to you alone, Master Su Ming. Chapter 236. Winning over and attacking, changing the situation. Seeing the curly-haired 5 elders lower his head, the other 5 elders in the hall hesitated for a moment and then began to surrender. Master Su Ming, this is my personal Den Dan Mushi. Contact me anytime if you need anything. The expression on the face of the fat 5 elders changed very quickly, and he looked at Su Ming as if he was a close friend he hadn't seen for many years. The 5 elders were very sensible and divided the richest pieces of land in their territories to Su Ming and signed a contract. Although Su Ming's action was equivalent to cutting the flesh of several people, and they would inevitably bear a grudge, he did not care. Now their identities have completely changed. No matter how much they hate Su Ming, they dare not show it on their faces. Now in Yim's heart, Su Ming is more credible than the 5 elders. Looking at the Den Dan Mushi in his hand, Su Ming smiled slightly, his eyes swept over several 5 elders, and finally fell on the blonde 5 elders Shepherd 10 Peter Saint. Among them, Shepherd 10 Peter Saint was called the god of agriculture, in charge of food and civilian life. Su Ming ignored the looks of the other 5 elders and walked to Shepherd 10 Peter Saint and took out his Den Dan Mushi. Shepherd 10 Peter Saint, we are colleagues from now on. Remember to help each other when there are difficulties. This is my Den Dan Mushi. Also, you don't have many islands to begin with, so why did you allocate so many to me? This is to make things difficult for you. Just now, several seniors also allocated a lot of land to me. I'll give you 1/3 of this place. I hope you can make more contributions to Lord Yimu in the future. Come on, I'm rooting for you. Su Ming patted Shepherd 10 Peter Saint on the shoulder, smiled meaningfully, and turned away. Shepherd 10 Peter Saint stared blankly at the Den Dan Mushi in his hand. What does Su Ming mean? Shepherd 10 Peter Saint looked confused. Suddenly, he felt 3 hostile forces falling upon him. When he looked up again, he found that the 5 elders who had been on the same front with him were all looking at him with hostility in their eyes. Wait, this is Su Ming's plan. He wants to divide us so that we can't unite to fight him. Shepherd 10 Peter Street reacted immediately. Curly-haired 5 elders J. Golucia Sardan took a deep breath. Shepherd 10 Peter Saint is right. We can't fall into Su Ming's trap. The chubby 5 elders topman Vochuli Saint also nodded and said, Saint Shepherd 10 Peter, I think you should make your position clear. The tall, long-haired environmental martial god, Marcus Moshe Saint, looked at the Den Dan Mushi and the contract in Shepherd 10 Pit Saint's hands, and his meaning was very clear. The Den Dan Mushi given by Su Ming must be destroyed. As for the contract, it should naturally be returned to the person from whom it was taken. Shepherd 10 Peter Saint looked at the Den Dan Mushi and the contract in his hand, hesitated for a moment, then crushed the Den Dan Mushi and destroyed the contract at the same time. Don't worry, we have worked together for many years, so of course we are on the same front. Advertisement. The goal was achieved, and the 5 elders finally smiled. Ha ha ha, I knew it. Shepherd 10 Peter Saint has worked with us for so long, there's no way he could be bribed by Su Ming. With smiles on their faces, several people walked up to Shepherd 10 Peter Saint again. It was as if what happened just now had never happened. Only Shepherd 10 Peter clenched his fist secretly in his sleeves. Dot 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 dot. Outside the hall, Su Ming looked back at the gate, a playful look flashing in his eyes. A few old guys, you still want to deal with me with just these tricks. In his previous life, Su Ming was an experienced fisherman who had worked hard in the workplace. He is well versed in how to win over colleagues, divide subordinates, and deal with the ways of the world. When he had just handed the Den Den Mushi and the contract to Shepherd 10 Peter Saint, he had never thought of winning over the other party so easily. Among the 5 elders, Shepherd 10 Peter Saint is the youngest. From several conversations, it can be seen that his voice is the weakest among the 5 elders. Once the contract is handed over to him, it will inevitably be snatched back by other 5 elders. This is unavoidable. The rest of the 5 elders will just think this is normal. But once the benefits are obtained, no one is willing to let them go easily. After this incident, Shepherd 10 Peter Saint must have resentment towards several people. And this is Su Ming's purpose. The 5 elders are no longer a monolithic entity. Whether to strike or win over others depends entirely on their mood. Dot 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 dot. News always travels fast on the sea. In particular, Su Ming secretly asked several newspapers to work overtime. In less than 3 days, the news that Su Ming had been promoted to 5 elders and became one of the most powerful people in the world had spread. 5 elders' new iteration, does it prove the change of the world pattern? The hidden identity of 5 elders Su Ming is actually the illegitimate son of celestial dragons. Su Ming said that sleeping 1 hour earlier every day can increase the average life expectancy by 10 years. Dot 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 dot. For a time, all kinds of rumors were flying around. Under Su Ming's guidance, newspapers now have a very good grasp of the headlines. But some truly useful information is only in the hands of a few bigwigs. New World, Whitebeard sat on a chair, holding a wine bowl in one hand and a newspaper in the other, his expression changing from one to the next. Advertisement. This kid actually became a 5 elder. Hasn't he already started a war with the world government? Is there still such an operation? Whitebeard, who had seen many storms, began to doubt life at this moment. Revolutionary Army Base. Long looked at the newspaper and clenched his hands silently. The time for revolution has finally come. On Sky Island, Doflamingo, who was in charge of the situation, stood up from his chair excitedly after receiving the news. Ha ha ha, I knew it, I knew it. This time the bet was right. Restoring the celestial dragon's identity was originally a distant dream. But now I have followed the right boss. Su Ming has become a 5 elders, so it would only take a word for him to restore his identity as a celestial dragon. Someone, prepare the boat for me. I want to see the boss now. Impel down. Crocodile, who was imprisoned on the 5th floor, living in a luxurious single room and eating premium steak for every meal, laughed out loud while looking at the newspaper in his hand. Ha 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 ha, ha 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 ha, Laozi's vision is indeed correct. 5 elders, from today on, I am one of the people with the strongest background in this ocean. Just wait until I get out from Impel Down, and I will definitely have a place on this ocean. Amazon daughter country. Hancock held Su Ming's body-size pillow in his arms, his eyes were full of peach blossoms and his cheeks were flushed. Honey, after learning about the war between Su Ming and the 5 elders, Hancock has been worried about Su Ming. Now everything is finally settled. Hancock also breathed a sigh of relief. In the first half of the Grand Line, on a remote island, Blackbeard was reading the newspaper in his hand. Ha 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 ha, Thunder Emperor, has he become such a big shot already? Looks like Laozi has to hurry up too. Shock fruit. Only by getting the shock fruit can you truly become a top person. Seeing that Su Ming, who was of the same generation as him, had now become a 5 elder, the usually steady Blackbeard also felt a sense of urgency. Come on, let's go catch Ace. This is a crucial step. With the sails hoisted, the Blackbeard pirates set sail again. Chapter 237 Allied Countries. Boss. As soon as Su Ming arrived at Marineford, Doflamingo rushed over. At this moment, Doflamingo had changed into a neat suit and was holding an empty fish tank in his hand. What was on his mind was almost written on his face. Su Ming couldn't help but roll his eyes when he looked at Doflamingo. Okay, I know why you're here. I also have something to talk to you about. From today on, you, Doflamingo, will resume your identity as a celestial dragon, okay? Su Ming casually threw a golden Den Mushi to Doflamingo, which was the authority to launch a marine buster call. Doflamingo, who is usually steady, seemed a little flustered when faced with the Den Mushi thrown at him. My identity is restored just like that. Dover couldn't believe it. After all these years of hard work, Su Ming managed to do it with just one simple sentence. Su Ming raised his eyebrows. Why, don't you believe it? Seeing Doflamingo's doubts, Su Ming took out a Den Mushi from his arms, which was the one given to him by the curly-haired 5 elders before he left. Hey, Saint Satan, you have the highest prestige among the celestial dragons, right? Let me make an announcement later. From today on, the Don Quixote family will be restored to its celestial dragon status. Yes, that's right. Doflamingo is mine, and the wanted warrant on him has been revoked. What? You can't make the decision. Damn it. Did I let you make the decision? This is an order from me. If any celestial dragon disobeys, let him come to me. That's it. I want to see this news in the newspaper tomorrow. Hang up now. Doflamingo looked at Su Ming, his whole body was stunned, and his brain went blue. Boss, were you calling 5 elders just now? Su Ming nodded. Yes, it's that old man with wool curlers who was playing Tai Chi with me and saying that he couldn't make decisions and thought he was the leader. I told him that from today on, you are celestial dragons and have all the rights that celestial dragons should have. The wanted warrant has also been cancelled. Doflamingo swallowed. Here, if you hadn't said you were calling the 5 elders, I would have thought you were calling your eldest nephew Luffy. After all, they are 5 elders, and it is like giving orders to younger brothers. Is it really appropriate? But after seeing Su Ming's confident look, Doflamingo's concerns were dispelled. Aren't I just being confused? Advertisement. His boss got his current position under the strong suppression of those 5 elders. If those old guys really had a way to deal with the boss wouldn't have shown up today to give orders to this couple. Since he has become a 5 elders, the boss's say is definitely half as much as other 5 elders even if they are at the same level. Doflamingo thought to himself. What he didn't know was that Su Ming's current voice was not as simple as being half a level higher than that of the other 5 elders. Although they are all 5 elders, in reality, Su Ming has almost become the immediate superior of the other 4. Su Ming felt no burden when he gave orders to the other 5 elders. Seeing that Doflamingo hadn't come to his senses yet, Su Ming glared at him in dissatisfaction. All right, you useless guy, hurry up and throw that broken fish tank away. You are embarrassing yourself. It's just right that you come over. I have something for you to do. After being scolded by Su Ming, Doflamingo reacted, quickly threw away the fish tank, and lowered his head to move forward. Boss, please tell me what I need. Su Ming touched his chin. Although I have a lot of land now, I don't have enough people to manage it. Well, you can announce the news for me, and ask the forces that are interested in joining me to sign up. Leave the appropriate ones here and let them manage it. After taking over the territory of the former treasurer 5 elders Nasu Jiro and extorting some from the other 5 elders, Su Ming's territory now covers half of the islands in the Grand Line. On these islands, Su Ming enjoyed the highest authority except for Yim. Even if the other 5 elders want to implement any decree, they have to get Su Ming's approval, otherwise it will not work. As soon as the news was released, the entire Grand Line went wild. Amazon daughter country. Hancock reacted immediately. Someone, prepare a boat for me. I want to be the first force to join my dear. When Hancock, who was in love, got the news, he didn't even consider the treatment of the joining country, and was about to stamp it with the Emperor's seal. Fortunately, the former Emperor Gloriosa reminded him and he finally took a look at the document. After carefully reading the requirements and benefits for joining the faction on the document, Gloriosa was surprised to find that the treatment for joining Su Ming's faction was quite good. Not only can you get blessings, and you don't have to worry about being harassed by other celestial dragons. Advertisement. Even the annual tribute was much less than the gold from heaven. You know, many countries have become lawless places for pirates and human traffickers because they cannot pay the heavenly gold and are not protected by the world government. The harsh environment also makes it more likely for these countries to have vicious criminals, produce more pirates, and make the civilians more difficult to manage. Joining Su Ming's forces will undoubtedly give those small kingdoms that want to survive a way out and a chance to breathe. This man, Gloriosa murmured. She thought of the suffering her kingdom had endured over the years. Thinking of the chaos in the sea over the years, maybe it will end in the hands of this man. The Fish-Men Island. Although Shirahoshi has not yet ascended the throne, he is already the actual ruler of the Mermaid Kingdom. Princess Otahime and Neptune retreated to the background and hardly managed the affairs of Mermaid Island anymore. After receiving Su Ming's invitation to join, Shirahoshi covered his mouth with excitement. Mother, father, look. I told you that master would never let me down. Princess Otahime and Neptune also shed tears after reading the contents on the paper. Just because there is a command agreement in the alliance. Open double angle bracket among the member states, all races must be treated equally and have equal rights close double angle bracket. The treaty lists more than a dozen races, including the mermaids. The mermaids have been waiting for this treaty for a long time, but the world government has not given it to this day. Now, Su Ming has finally helped the mermaids realize their wish. Shirahoshi, you are right, your master is the true hope of our mermaid tribe. Go quickly with this invitation. We cannot miss this opportunity to bring the merpeople back to the light of day. Revolutionary Army Base. Dorag was also looking at the invitation in his hand. The E King Ivankov asked with some concern. Chief, do you really want to join this alliance? Although Comrade Su Ming did not say that we cannot participate, we are a revolutionary army after all, an illegal organization. Is it really okay to form a country? Dorag was silent for a moment. I believe Comrade Su Ming, judging from the treaties he listed, if they can really be implemented, it may be more effective than our liberation. Wouldn't it be better if that were the case? Dorag looked at the kingdom that had just been liberated but was still in the midst of war. Compared with his own method, Su Ming's subtle changes may be more friendly to civilians. Chapter 238 Ace. No one understands the horror of Su Ming better than me. Naval Headquarters, Mariajoy Ideographic Period. Compared to the past, Mariajoy today is a bit more lively. Suddenly there was a commotion on the street. Get out of the way, everyone. Two tall female warriors with human heads and snake bodies suddenly appeared on the street and divided the civilians on the street into two sides. Who is that? Oh my god, it's the pirate's queen, Boa Hancock. She is really the empress. She is so beautiful. She is worthy of being the most beautiful woman in the world, so beautiful. Why is the pirate's queen coming to the headquarters? Is the Marine going to hold another Shichibukai meeting? Boa Hancock walked between his two sisters, taking in the gazes of the people around him, a hint of disgust flashing in his eyes. Cut. Although she didn't mind being praised for her beauty, she didn't want these people to see it. My beauty belongs only to Master Su Ming. As if they had sensed Hancock's idea, the second sister Sandersonia and the third sister Marigold smashed the steel forks in their hands to the ground, which immediately caused a gust of air and scared the people watching around. You rude people, please leave immediately. Otherwise, don't blame us for being rude. The huge figures of the two sisters and the terrifying aura they exuded woke up everyone who was originally attracted by Hancock's beauty. Although this pirate's queen is beautiful, she is never easy to talk to. She is like a rose with thorns. Just as the people on the street were about to retreat, there was another commotion behind the Amazon Lily Kingdom team. Boa Hancock frowned. What's going on? Didn't I tell them to try not to make any noise? Master Su Ming doesn't like trouble. Do you want me to say it again? Upon hearing this, the female guard quickly bowed and apologized. Your Majesty, it wasn't our people who made the noise. It seemed to be someone else. As soon as the words fell, a huge shadow covered the heads of several people. The sky seemed to darken all of a sudden. Wow, sea kings are coming ashore. I don't know who screamed first, and then the crowd fell into complete panic. Run, it's the sea kings. Lots of sea kings. What's going on? Shouldn't such huge sea kings live in the deep sea? How come they are on land? You hit me, and I seemed to get stronger, and I saw the sea kings flying in the sky. Advertisement. I saw several giant sea kings flying in the air. It is not accurate to say that they are flying, these sea kings are more like swimming in the air. Hancock raised his head and his eyes fell on the head of the leading sea kings in midair. There stood a pink-haired woman. She was wearing a light blue dress and looked to be about 18 or 19 years old. She exudes a noble temperament like a queen. Feeling Hancock's gaze, Shirahoshi lowered his head and their eyes met. The sea kings in the sky slowly stopped. Suddenly, more than a dozen giant sea kings changed direction and rushed down. The crowd watching the excitement were all panicked. Run. These sea kings are going to attack the island. Each of the sea kings summoned by Shirahoshi is over 5,000 meters in size. Even if this head doesn't launch an attack, they will not be able to withstand a direct fall from it. Even the Amazon Lily Kingdom's skilled female warriors couldn't help but tighten their weapons upon seeing this scene, with a hint of panic in their eyes. Only Boa Hancock, who had been staring at Shirahoshi, remained indifferent throughout the whole process. Sister, let's hide for a while. If sea kings this big really fall down, it will be very troublesome, the second sister Sandersonia reminded. Yes, sister, let's block them here. After all, we are on land, and these sea kings should not be difficult to deal with. The third sister Marigold also agreed. However, Hancock seemed not to have heard it. He just stood there, looking up at Shirahoshi without blinking his head. It was as if I would lose something if I looked away. The huge sea kings were getting closer and closer, and many of the onlookers collapsed on the ground. However, the imagined scene of giant sea kings colliding with the ground did not occur. The moment the sea kings touched the ground and the surrounding buildings rippled like a phantom, and then Poseidon sank into it and disappeared. It took everyone a long time to come back to their senses. What's going on? Did the sea kings go into the ground? One civilian slapped himself in the face, as if trying to wake himself up. Not only can sea kings fly in the sky, they can even burrow into the ground. Shirahoshi did not meet with the confused crowd as usual, she came to Hancock. The two women stood facing each other. Both of them are top beauties in the sea, but the temperaments they exude are completely different. Boa Hancock's temperament is the kind that makes people addicted and crazy. Advertisement. Shirahoshi is the exact opposite. Her queen-like temperament makes people want to support and submit to her. Are you the Hancock that master mentioned? Shirahoshi looked at Hancock and frowned. Although it was the first time they met, Shirahoshi had a sense of fate towards the woman in front of him. Coincidentally, Hancock felt the same way. My name is Hancock, the Queen of Amazon. You are the disciple of Master Su Ming, right? Then I am your elder and it's okay for me to call you Master's wife. Hancock puffed out his chest, looking very proud. Shirahoshi snorted unyieldingly. HMPH, old woman, the master didn't accept you. Humph, a little girl who knows nothing. In just 2 sentences, the tit-for-tat relationship between the two was revealed. Boa Hancock also had a vague feeling that his little disciple Su Ming's filial piety had obviously deteriorated, and he was plotting something bad towards his beloved master Su Ming. Damn it, it's fine that Khalifa and Guillaume got there first, but is it possible that a little girl like this got there first? Boa Hancock gritted her teeth in anger, especially the word, old woman, which directly hit her in the lungs. I won't waste my time talking to you. I'm here with the entire Amazon Lily Kingdom to join Lord Su Ming's forces. We're here to discuss important matters, and this is not something a little girl like you can interfere with. Shirahoshi stiffened his neck and continued, what a coincidence, I am also bringing the mermaids to join Master, and I will definitely join before you. Their eyes met, and sparks seemed to fly in the air. The onlookers finally understood at this time. These two top beauties are actually fighting for the same man. I couldn't help cursing in my heart. Damn capitalists. Damn celestial dragons. Damn 5 elders. What's even more hateful is why the man who made 2 of the world's top beauties jealous is not herself. ... At the same time, on a remote island in the front half of the Grand Line, 2 figures were facing each other. Teach, I finally found you. You betrayed your father for a devil fruit. Today I must bring you back with my own hands. Blackbeard grinned. Thief, ha 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 ha, Ace, you don't understand anything. Times have changed. Monsters appear one after another in the sea. If you don't have strength, you are not qualified to survive in this sea. You have no idea how terrifying the top monsters in this sea are. Su Ming, the new 5 elders, have heard of him. Laozi fought him several years ago. You can't even imagine how terrifying that guy is. With strength, even the world government will have to give in. Laozi will become a big shot sooner or later. Ace tilted his head, looked at Blackbeard, and blinked. Don't you understand the horror of Su Ming? Damn, let me put it this way, no one understands the horror of that devil Su Ming better than me, Ace. No one. Chapter 239 Ace, do you know how I have been living these years? Firefly Fire Daruma. Faced with Blackbeard's provocation, Ace didn't say any more nonsense. Small fireballs that sparkled like fireflies flew out from his palms and covered an area of 100 meters in a blink of an eye. Blackbeard's eyes kept moving, and a wary look appeared on his face. As the captain of the second squad of the Whitebeard Pirates, Ace's strength is unquestionable. Before getting the dark fruit, even he was not absolutely sure of defeating the opponent. But now with dark fruit, everything is different. Bang! A small fireball suddenly exploded, setting off a series of explosions that instantly covered the entire area. Ace maintained his elemental transformation while looking in the direction of Blackbeard in the sea of fire. However, there was no movement in the flames. Is that all? Ace couldn't believe it. Even if this guy killed Thatch by a sneak attack, his strength was still too weak. Just when Ace was thinking about whether to investigate further, Blackbeard's voice sounded again. Dark water. Suddenly, a darkness emerged from the blazing fire. Blackbeard gradually emerged. Thief, ha 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 ha. Ace, I'm not the little character you think I am. The black aura surged through Blackbeard's body and continued to spread outward, soon occupying half of the battlefield. Seeing this, Ace narrowed his eyes. It's not that simple. Is this the dark fruit? The thing that made you betray your father? It doesn't look that good either. Blackbeard looked at the dark aura on his hand and sneered. Ace, you don't understand the horror of this power yet, but it doesn't matter, you will soon realize it. Tisk, stop talking nonsense, Jing Hoyan. Ace swung his hands violently, and large flames spurted out of his arms, forming a huge wall of flames that advanced forward. Knowing that Blackbeard was not dead, he did not intend to hold back any further. However, a scene that shocked him appeared. Blackbeard shouted, and an even greater darkness unfolded like a black curtain. Dark Cave Road. The flames met darkness and were completely swallowed up. Ace's pupils shrank. Absorb. Attacks that can absorb natural elements are indeed a bit tricky, but I am not completely unable to deal with them. Divine Fire. Shiranui. Advertisement. Ace raised his hands, and 2 balls of flame suddenly swung out and turned into flaming spears. The condensed flames were like a solid entity, piercing through the darkness in an instant. Ah! Blackbeard, who was hiding behind the curtain, let out a scream. The darkness on the field completely receded. Blackbeard, who was so arrogant a second ago, fell to the ground and rolled over. Ace's eye twitched. That's it. He thought it would be an evenly matched battle, but with the strength Blackbeard showed, Ace felt like he was making a big deal out of nothing. Ace maintained the flames on his body and walked towards Blackbeard, who was still rolling on the ground. I say, there's no need to be so exaggerated, it's just a burn. After all, you are a former crew member of the Whitebeard Pirates. It's too embarrassing. Ace looked at Blackbeard in such a miserable state and couldn't help but look down on him. He condensed a fire spear from his fingertips, thinking of knocking Blackbeard out and taking him back. Suddenly, dark acupoints. Blackbeard, who was rolling on the ground a second ago, suddenly jumped up. A large area of darkness quickly spread outward, as if it was going to swallow everything. Ace was startled and stepped back hastily, but was still a step too late. The dark aura attached to Ace's body like a maggot on his tarsal bone, and the flames on his body were instantly extinguished. He just felt the power of the Mara fruit in his body receding like the tide. Blackbeard saw the right moment, and the dark aura turned into a rope, tying up Ace. Ha 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 ha. This hurts so much, Ace. Dark fruit is not as simple as you think. How about it? Do you feel like you can't use your fruit ability anymore? Ace knelt on the ground and looked up at Blackbeard, who looked very proud. Haha, this is a really tricky ability. It can suppress the abilities of devil fruits like seawater. This is the nemesis of all devil fruits. Ordinary fruit ability users have no ability to resist you. I underestimated you, Ace commented. Blackbeard's smile froze. He wasn't as happy as he thought he would be when he heard Ace's praise. Before I met Su Ming, I really felt so. But since the last time he was electrocuted by Su Ming, Blackbeard was not sure whether all devil fruits were restrained by the power of dark fruit. Blackbeard felt that he had been hit in the sore spot and didn't want to continue answering Ace's questions. Come out, take him to the Marine. Laozi wants to use this guy's head to negotiate with the Marine. Behind the ruins, Poison Q and other Blackbeard crew members poked their heads out. Huh, Captain, this guy is the captain of the second squad of 4 Emperors Whitebeard. He doesn't seem that good. Poison Q walked up and commented when he looked at Ace who was tied up. Blackbeard's smile faded. Don't underestimate this guy. Fortunately, he focuses on his fruit ability and is not strong in physical skills. He also doesn't know about dark fruit. Otherwise, it would not be so easy to catch him. Blackbeard is well aware of Ace's strength, although not as strong as the Emperor's, he is very close. Advertisement. If Ace really knew the ability of the dark fruit and took precautions in advance, even if he could win, it would not be so easy. Poison Q nodded when he heard that, walked behind Ace and patted Ace's shoulder silently. Blackbeard saw what Poison Q was doing but didn't show it. Okay, let's go to Marine Jealousy, thief ha 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 ha, we're going to make a big scene this time. Blackbeard said as he stepped forward and tried to take Ace away. Ace, who had been kneeling on the ground as if he had accepted his fate, suddenly laughed out loud. Haha, Teach, it seems you still have some self-awareness. If I'm not mistaken, although your dark fruit can restrain the ability of the fruit, the pain of the damage you suffer will be doubled, otherwise you wouldn't be so embarrassed just now. In other words, pure physical skills are the nemesis of dark fruit. Ace said with his head down and a smile. Blackbeard's face fell, but he recovered in a blink. Ha ha ha, even if you know, what can you do? Ace, be Lousy's stepping stone. I will use your brain to its fullest potential. Ace shook his head and smiled when he heard that. I'm sorry, but my brain is still useful, so I can't give it to you. Ace, who was kneeling on the ground, slowly stood up. He shook his neck and looked at Blackbeard with a hint of sarcasm. I admit that I underestimated you a little bit before, but it seems that you don't know that much about me. I use my fruit ability more often, but with that monster around, I never dare to slack off in my physical skills. Blackbeard's pupils shrank, and he saw veins bulging on Ace's arms. The dark rope that had previously entangled him was easily torn apart. Shave. Flame step. Ace disappeared instantly. The iron fist wrapped in armed color appeared in front of Blackbeard. Bang. Flame fist. After knocking Blackbeard away, Ace disappeared again. Almost at the same time, Blackbeard's 4 crew members all vomited blood and flew backwards. After Su Ming's training, Ace's strength is completely incomparable to that in the original book. Su Ming knew very well that the fruit ability could only exert its true power when combined with physical skills, and he would naturally tell Ace about this when teaching him. Looking at Blackbeard in the ruins, Ace shook his wrist. No wonder the old man and the devil both like to use physical skills to beat people up. It feels so good to punch them in the flesh. Hey, correction. First, I know the Su Ming you mentioned. Second, I have never relied on the power of the fruit. It's just that I didn't have much chance to use my full strength on my father's ship. Ace walked towards Blackbeard step by step, and the extinguished fire in his body was rekindled. Chapter 240 Sengoku, trust me, you've done a great job this time. You, stop him quickly. Blackbeard had a panicked look in his eyes. Ace's strength was somewhat beyond his expectations. I thought Ace, who became the captain of the Whitebeard Pirates' second squad only by relying on his fruit power, turned out to be so powerful in physical skills. His subordinate, Giza's Badges, was above average in physical skills, but he couldn't even counterattack against Ace. And Blackbeard always had an indescribable sense of familiarity from the moves used by Ace. Hateful. Blackbeard shook his head, trying not to let his thoughts wander. Ace suddenly exploded, and he had to deal with it with all his strength, otherwise he would be caught and brought back to Whitebeard, and there would be only one outcome for him. The crew of the Blackbeard pirates drew their weapons. Ace rubbed his wrist nonchalantly. It doesn't matter, let's go together. Ace is absolutely confident that he can take down Blackbeard's entire crew. Dark Cave Road. Precise sniping. Poison Q also used his fruit ability to try to delay Ace. However, facing the attacks from several people, Ace kept dodging and managed to avoid them all by relying on his speed. It's useless, Teach. I already know your dark fruit ability. As long as I don't use the fruit ability to attack you directly, you are no match for me. As for your crew, haha, you are just small characters who haven't even entered the new world. Do you think they can stop me? Cough cough cough. Ace was halfway through his words when his eyes suddenly widened, his hands covered his mouth, and he started coughing violently, blood dripping through his fingers. His legs went limp and he fell to the ground, unable to exert any strength anymore. Seeing this, Blackbeard showed a cruel smile on his face and stood up by holding the wall. Thief ha 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 ha, good job, Poison Q. When Ace was trapped just now, Poison Q secretly poisoned Ace for safety reasons. He wanted to prevent Ace from escaping, but he didn't expect this would come in handy. Ace, your strength is indeed beyond my expectations, but at the end of the day, you are just a guy playing the pirates game. I can't blame you for this. Even Whitebeard doesn't know what real pirates look like. Guys like you are only fit to be stepping stones for the real pirates. Come on, boys, to the Marine. It's time for us to make a name for ourselves. On the ground, Ace gritted his teeth and stared at Blackbeard, but couldn't say a word. Naval Headquarters, Sengoku is holding a Den Den Mushi, and the expression on his face is extremely interesting. After the Den Den Mushi hung up, Suru, who was sitting on the sofa sipping coffee, looked curious. Advertisement. What's wrong? Who called? Why do you look so unhappy? Sengoku snorted. Blackbeard, a pirate, actually wanted to meet with me, a marine marshal, saying that he had an important deal to discuss. He was being so mysterious. Crane raised his eyebrows. Blackbeard, the guy who defected from the Whitebeard pirates some time ago. Sengoku nodded. Yeah, that's him. Haha, that's really interesting. What are you going to do? Have someone arrest him directly. Crane's response to arrogant pirates like Blackbeard is also very simple. Naval headquarters, is it a place where you, as a pirate, can come and go as you please? Do you think you are like Doflamingo, with that brat Su Ming behind you? With Su Ming's strong financial support, naval headquarters' strength has more than doubled compared to previous years. Not to mention that he is just a small pirate, even if the four emperors came, he would have to stay here, not to mention any deal. However, Sengoku shook his head when he heard what Suru said. No, I asked him to wait in the conference room. This is the first time I've seen someone who dares to come to naval headquarters to do business with me, except for that brat Su Ming. I want to see what this Blackbeard is capable of. Wait until we have found out the truth before we deal with him. ... Naval headquarters meeting room. Poison Q looked at Marine who was guarding the door and whispered to Blackbeard. Captain, is Marine Marshal Sengoku really going to meet us? This is the naval headquarters. If something really happens, we might end up having to explain everything here. Although it is exciting to brave the naval headquarters as a pirates, it is not worth it if it costs your life. Blackbeard looked confident when he heard what Poison Q said. Ha 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 ha. Don't worry, Sengoku will definitely meet me. Don't forget, I came from the Whitebeard pirates ship. There's no reason why Sengoku, the Marine Marshal, wouldn't be interested in the Four Emperors' affairs. And I've asked Van Oka to meet us outside. If they really turn hostile, we can escape. Once Marine takes over Ace's troubles. There was something called ambition in Blackbeard's eyes. Just then, the office door was pushed open. Sengoku walked in alone, walked straight to sit opposite Blackbeard, and looked at Blackbeard with a gloomy face. You are really brave. As a pirate, you actually dare to come to the naval headquarters like this. Are you ready to die? Sengoku exuded the aura of a superior. Blackbeard felt threatened but grinned. Ha 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 ha. Marshal Sengoku, I'm here to discuss business, not to cause trouble. I believe that after listening to my deal, you will be interested. Sengoku leaned his arms on the table, his face calm. Oh, then tell me what kind of deal it is. Advertisement. Sengoku has decided that no matter what Blackbeard says, he will immediately capture this ignorant pirate and send him to impel down as soon as he finishes speaking. Ha 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 ha. Marshal Sengoku, the Shichibukai position has remained vacant since Crocodile was defeated. I hope to become a Shichibukai. As a token of my loyalty, I personally captured Ace, the captain of the Whitebeard Pirates' second squad. You can use him as bait to directly weaken the power of the Four Emperors' Whitebeard Pirates. At the same time, I will tell you everything about the Whitebeard Pirates' ship. Bang! Sengoku, who had been so calm before, suddenly stood up. Tell me, who did you capture? Blackbeard grinned at Sengoku's loss of composure, thinking that his bargaining chip had been valued by Sengoku. Ha 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 ha, Marshal Sengoku, you heard me right. I brought Ace, the captain of the second squad of the Whitebeard Pirates ship. Don't underestimate him because he's just the second squad. Whitebeard values him very much. Marine can use Ace as bait and set a trap. Given Whitebeard's personality, he will definitely take the bait. It is not impossible to wipe out the Whitebeard Pirates in one fell swoop. How about this, Marshal Sengoku? This is a golden opportunity. Now, you only need to agree to a few small conditions of mine in exchange for this opportunity. Is this a good deal? Sengoku didn't listen to what Blackbeard said next. After confirming that Ace was captured, Sengoku was already in a state of panic. Damn it. You think I'm living too comfortably in the headquarters and you want to cause trouble for me, right? That brat Su Ming is already a 5 elder. Given his protective personality, could he just sit back and watch Ace get arrested? How dare you ask me for a reward? Do you want a big Buddha impact as a reward? Even though he hated Blackbeard in his heart, Sengoku's mind still told him to restrain himself. It is impossible for Marine not to accept that Ace has been arrested. Once the news gets out, it will cause a great blow to Marine's momentum. But even if they are caught and executed, it is not acceptable. Su Ming and Garp, this old and young, are enough to make them suffer. Suddenly, an idea came to Sengoku's mind. You can just pass the buck on this kind of thing. With Su Ming here, why should I worry about this? Blackbeard wants a reward, so why not call that brat Su Ming over and reward him handsomely? If anything happens, Su Ming will handle it himself. Thinking of this, a smile appeared on Sengoku's old face again. Haha, okay, you want to exchange Ace for a reward, right? Believe me, you have done a great job this time, so, don't leave. Wait here. I will make a phone call to apply for a reward for you. With that, Sengoku strode out of the office. The office door was firmly shut. The members of the Blackbeard Pirates looked at each other. Captain, am I wrong? Why did I feel like Sengoku was gritting his teeth when he spoke just now? Could he be setting an ambush? Poison Q looked worried. Chapter 241 Blackbeard experiences the treatment of the Four Emperors. In the Holy Land of Marijoy, inside the castle where Su Ming is located. Okay, the Den Den Mushi voice rang out. Hello? Who is this? Su Ming lazily took off his eye mask and answered the Den Den Mushi call. Su Ming, you little brat, wake up, something's wrong. Sengoku's voice came through the Den Mushi. Something happened? Su Ming became more sober. In Den Mushi, Sengoku told the story of Ace in detail. That's right. Blackbeard has given me a difficult problem. He wants to use Ace to exchange for a favor from me. Ace is your nephew. I haven't told old man Garp yet. You can handle this matter on your own. Su Ming sat up in the office and shook his head to wake himself up completely. Okay, I get it. I'll take care of Ace's affairs. Just receive it normally, Marine, and put it in Impel down first. That kid should learn his lesson. As for Blackbeard, Su Ming paused. He knew very well that Blackbeard was an extremely ambitious guy. In the original work, he is considered the nephew of Luffy. He has been lurking in the Whitebeard pirates for 20 years to pursue his own goals. In 20 years, no clues were revealed. If it weren't for me, this guy would soar to the sky and ascend to the position of 4 emperors in a very short time. Unfortunately, now the fault has fallen into my own hands. Well, old man, it's not a big deal, so there's no need to make a big fuss about it. Sengoku nodded on the other end of the line. He also felt that Blackbeard was just a minor character, and the problem was only the relationship between Su Ming and Ace. To deal with such small characters, sending a few elite vice admirals is more than enough. Okay, then let Ghost Spider, Flying Squirrel and the others. Sengoku was just about to ask a few elite vice admirals from the headquarters to capture Blackbeard and his group. But I heard Su Ming speaking slowly on the Den Mushi. Just let Kizaru, Akainu and Aokiji act together and don't be too high profile. By the way, don't forget to tell Kizaru that there is a bonus for this operation. Sengoku. 3 admirals acted together, you call this low-key? If you want to be high profile, do you have to use the authority of the 5 elders to use the ancient weapon to attack him? Isn't this a bit too exaggerated? Why don't Kizaru just do it himself? Sengoku asked tentatively. Advertisement after all, he is the Marine's strongest fighter. Sending out 3 of them at once would be an overestimation of Blackbeard. Su Ming crossed his legs and looked at Den Mushi. How many people are there? Sengoku said, 3. Su Ming. 3? How can we just send out 1 admiral? 1 for each of us. Let the foreigners next door, ahem. Let the pirates next door know about this and think our Marines can't afford the military expenses. Sengoku. Yes, I know you have money. It's obvious that you are just seeking personal revenge. Sengoku cursed Blackbeard in his mind. How could you be so blind that you have to arrest this guy's nephew instead of anyone else? Don't you know that this guy is the most protective of his own people? This is great. Let's launch a 3-admiral roundup right away. There was no such treatment when Rox was arrested back then. On the other end of the Den Mushi, Su Ming said with a smile, Old man, don't underestimate this Blackbeard. I met this guy a few years ago. He is not as simple as he seems. Among the entire Whitebeard Pirates group, this guy is definitely one of the top 5 in terms of strength. A few elite vice admirals are not enough to deal with him. After hearing what Su Ming said, Sengoku began to re-examine this little person whom he had looked down upon. Come to think of it, I did underestimate him. How could ordinary pirates dare to make a deal with a marine marshal like me? Okay, then let's do as you say, it's you who pays anyway. After hanging up the phone, Su Ming stood up, walked to the balcony and looked in the direction of naval headquarters. Tisk, even if you really are a destined villain, I don't believe you can escape if the 3 admirals attack together. Naval headquarters, Du Q asked worriedly as he listened to the chaotic footsteps outside the office. Captain, Sengoku has been gone for a while. I hear it's getting more and more noisy outside. I wonder if we've been tricked. Blackbeard grinned when he heard what Poison Q said. Thief, ha ha ha, don't worry, even if the Marine Admiral takes action personally, I am confident that I can get you out. After getting the dark fruit, Blackbeard was filled with confidence. Maybe he is not a match for Marine Admiral yet, but with the dark fruit, it won't be difficult to escape if he wants. Besides, Van Oka is waiting for us outside. Blackbeard looked in the direction of the office door and grinned. Okay. The Den Mushi hidden in my arms suddenly rang. Advertisement. Blackbeard frowned. Hey, Oka, didn't I tell you not to contact me unless it's an emergency? Your presence is the guarantee of our safety? Blackbeard said with a hint of displeasure in his tone. He hated such disobedient subordinates. However, Van Oka on the other end of the Den Mushi had no intention of explaining this to him. Captain, run quickly. The 3 Marine Admirals have all returned and they look like they're heading for you. I have already retreated. After he finished speaking, a busy tone came from the Den Mushi. Blackbeard stared blankly at the Den Mushi in his hand. Poison Q asked cautiously. Ship, Captain, you just said you could take us out, is that true? Blackbeard. Lousy was saying that a Marine Admiral could find a way out on his own, but who the hell could have thought that the Marine would go crazy and call all 3 of them over at once? I'm just a former crew member of the 4 Emperors Pirates, not the 4 Emperors. There's no need to be so exaggerated. Let's go quickly before Marine can react. Blackbeard immediately stood up and tried to break out. However, before he could leave his seat, the office door was pushed open. I'm shocked that there are pirates who dare to come to the naval headquarters. A wretched face full of wrinkles first caught their eyes. It was Kizaru. Behind him is Akainu. Akainu looked at Blackbeard who stood up, his eyes almost emitting fire. Have I been too low-key these years? Now the pirates dare to visit the naval headquarters? I will never do something cowardly, cough cough cough. This is a bit of a mix-up, Blackbeard, right? If I catch you today, you will definitely suffer the consequences. Akainu said through gritted teeth, and the magma on his body began to boil. Aokiji looked at Blackbeard and his two crew members curiously. What a hassle. The atmosphere in the room suddenly froze. Blackbeard gritted his teeth, unable to utter a word. How can this cat run away? After a moment, Blackbeard took a deep breath and raised his hand. I surrender, please don't do anything, okay? That was Blackbeard's only request at this moment. However, Kizaru, who was leading the group, said firmly. No, someone told me before I came here that I have to beat you up first, otherwise there will be no bonus. Come on, give him half a pound of the latest stimulant that scientists have developed. He said that if he faints from the pain, his bonus will be halved. Blackbeard. Why don't you just kill me? Chapter 242 Magellan, Impelled Down is your home. Marine Prison, Impelled Down. Magellan, Hanayabal and other Impelled Down officers hurried out to meet them. Admiral Kizaru, Admiral Akainu, Admiral Aokiji. Looking at the three Marine admirals who suddenly came to visit, Magellan saluted hurriedly. At the same time, I was wondering what day it was today. 3 admirals actually came to Impelled Down together. Could they be here for a visit? Suddenly Magellan saw a black bag tied with ropes behind Akainu, judging from its size. Magellan suddenly realized and a look of gratitude appeared on his face. He hurried forward and held Akainu's hand. Thank you Naval Headquarters for taking the time to consider the food issues of our Impelled Down brothers despite their busy schedule. It's not a festival, but they're sending us pigs. How embarrassing. Hurry up and call the kitchen staff over. Magellan waved his hand, as if to ask them to quickly remove the hair and put it in the pot so that he could entertain a few admirals in the evening. Kizaru, Akainu and Aokiji were all confused. Are you thinking too much? Ahem, Director Magellan, please calm down. We're here mainly to send the prisoner away. Aokiji coughed lightly and stepped out to smooth things over. He walked over to the black cloth and pulled it off Blackbeard. Magellan followed suit. After walking around Blackbeard twice, he looked back at Aokiji with a puzzled look on his face. Sir, please forgive my poor eyesight. Are you sure this is a criminal and not a strange monster from that island? It's not that Magellan's eyesight is poor, it's just that the creature called human in front of him doesn't look like a human at all. This person was completely naked, with his hands and feet handcuffed with sea stone. Not only was his entire body covered in bruises, he didn't even have a single hair on his body, and his head was swollen like a pig's head injected with water. You call this a prisoner? Even Magellan believed it was a new species discovered on a mysterious island. And why is there foam coming out of his mouth? It looks like it's going to fail. You three are not here to make me take the blame, are you? Aokiji saw Magellan's suspicious look and guessed what he was thinking. Director Magellan, rest assured. This prisoner is in perfect health. We can guarantee that. The 3 of us have just tested it. As for the foam in his mouth, it's mainly because the stimulant developed by the scientific research team has some flaws, plus he ate too much. He should be able to recover after a month or so. Even after hearing what Aokiji said, Magellan still didn't believe it. He looked back at the unconscious prisoner who was rolling his eyes and felt reluctant to accept him. Aokiji touched his nose awkwardly and glanced at Kizaru who was looking up at the sky and whistling. The meaning is very clear, you have done a good job, explain it yourself. Advertisement just now at the Naval Headquarters, facing the 3 Marine admirals working together, Blackbeard had no chance of fighting back. Although dark fruit is the nemesis of all devil fruits, the prerequisite is that the strength of both parties is equal. With the bonus offered by Su Ming, all 3 of them put in their 120% effort. Especially Kizaru, who even used his fruit awakening for the bonus. It was also the first time that Aokiji and Akainu knew that the old man Kizaru's laser beam could actually track. It's confirmed, the lasers that usually fail to hit the target are all just letting the enemy win. Okay, Director Magellan, don't worry about the details, this is definitely the criminal. The former Whitebeard Pirates crew member, Blackbeard, Marshal D. Teach, and his crew, are now in your hands. And his 2 crew members were also forced over. The main reason we're escorting this guy alone is because his fruit ability is special. Oh, by the way, there is another prisoner, we brought him here as well. Magellan looked at Kizaru in confusion after hearing this. Is he also a user of some special fruit ability? Kizaru shook his head. No, it's mainly because of my special identity. Magellan smiled. I thought it was a small matter. No matter how special his identity was, he was still sent to Impelled Down. In Impelled Down, there are a lot of big names who once dominated the world. Magellan thought it was some new big pirates being escorted here. Come to think of it, how could the 3 admirals act together just because of a small former crew member of the Whitebeard Pirates? It would be better if Whitebeard came in person. Haha, don't worry, Kizaru Admiral. No matter who he is, when I get to Impelled Down, I will let him know what is. This prisoner is the nephew of 5 Elders Master Su Ming. Master Su Ming was afraid that you would have a hard time before he came here, so he specifically told you to deal with him seriously. You can't be partial to this nephew just because of him. Magellan was halfway through his sentence when he nearly choked himself to death on the second half. Damn it, boss, do you have to play tricks on me like this? You should have told me your identity earlier. Magellan's expression quickly did a 180 degrees turn. Don't worry, Admiral Kizaru. The purpose of Impelled Down is to teach prisoners to return to the right path. Now that he is here, I will definitely let him know what the warmth of home is like. Kizaru and Magellan smiled at each other after hearing this. This person is also a promising talent, and he understands the intentions of his superiors very thoroughly. Okay, I'll leave that person to you. No problem, sir. Don't forget to take good care of Lord Su Ming when you see him. The old subordinates in Impel Down miss him very much. Both sides bid farewell in tears. Advertisement. After sending the 3 admirals away, Magellan looked at Blackbeard, who had regained consciousness, and Ace, who had just been pinned down. Let's go back to Impel Down. After completing the registration formalities, Magellan personally took Ace and Blackbeard to the cell because of their special identities. After twisting and turning on the first level of the prison, Magellan brought the 2 to a room. Magellan stood in front of the door, turned around and looked at Ace, coughed lightly, and straightened his expression. Prisoner Ace, although your identity is somewhat special, as a prisoner you should behave like a prisoner. From today on, you will stay here honestly and repent for your sins. Also, Impel Down has recently been implementing an improvement system. Although they are prisoners, they still need humanistic care. This is my personal Den Mushi. If you have any suggestions for Impel Down, you can use this Den Mushi to contact me. Do you understand? Ace nodded indifferently. Blackbeard stood aside and sneered. I didn't expect that Magellan, a director, would engage in formalism. No matter how nicely you speak, you will still be locked up in a cell. As he was thinking, Magellan turned around and opened the cell door. Suddenly, a ray of light came out from inside. The fresh fragrance diluted the dampness and decay and Impel Down. Blackbeard looked inside curiously. The prison was different from the dark and damp place I had imagined. It was actually spacious and bright inside, with a white and soft 3-meter-long bed. You can also see some sea fish swimming around outside the underwater floor-to-ceiling windows. Private swimming pool, refrigerator, TV, air conditioning and sofa are all available. The most outrageous thing was that there were several beautiful maids in uniform standing on both sides of the room. Because you are a very vicious criminal, you cannot be left alone in the cell. These people are mainly here to watch over you. Although Magellan said so, Blackbeard didn't believe it at all. This cat is wearing a maid outfit. Blackbeard turned to look at Magellan. You call this a prison? Looking at Magellan again, he still had a straight face, looking upright and selfless. Prisoner Ace, return to your cell immediately. By the way, since someone is watching you here, there's no need to carry these seastone handcuffs. It will also save some resources for Impel Down. After Magellan finished speaking, he opened Ace's seastone handcuffs without further ado and pushed him into the prison. The door is closed. Blackbeard was in disbelief. He swore on his little brother that those people who were looking at Ace must have meowed, "Master," just now. Chapter 243. Prologue to a New Era, seeing Ace being locked up in prison by Magellan himself. Blackbeard suddenly felt a little excited. Why do you become a pirate yourself? Let's put dreams aside for now. The biggest reason is to enjoy ourselves. Now it seems that this goal is about to be achieved. However, reality soon gave Blackbeard a loud slap in the face. Magellan and Blackbeard stopped in front of a cell that was only 3 or 4 square meters. Inside the prison, there was a shabby wooden bed and nothing else. Okay, just stay here and wait for your crime to be determined before deciding which level of prison you'll be sent to. Magellan said as he searched for his cell key. Blackbeard froze in place as he looked at the prison. No, how is this different? Where's the king-size bed? Where's the pool? And the floor-to-ceiling windows? Even if none of these things happened, Lousy is still a big pirate. Shouldn't he have asked a few people to watch over me? Blackbeard shouted, wanting justice for himself. Magellan frowned. Bang. A loud slap hit Blackbeard's face. You think the prison is your home, and you have a king-size bed? Blackbeard covered his face. That's not what you just said to Ace. Lousy is also a famous pirate on the sea. I captured that kid Ace. Why is he enjoying himself here while Lousy is sleeping in this shabby place? Lousy also needs humanistic care and the warmth of home. You said it yourself. Blackbeard gritted his teeth. Magellan's face darkened when he heard Blackbeard's words. Damn, are you looking for trouble? Why is your uncle also called Su Ming? Big pirates, right? Home like warmth, right? Okay, then don't live here anymore. I'll find you a new place. Lousy always keeps his word. Blackbeard was stunned for a moment, then his face lit up with joy. It actually works. Isn't it said that Impel Down is pirate's hell? Has the style really changed? Magellan waved his hand and said, Jailer, throw this guy to the 4th level of the burning hell. We will adjust it after his crime is sentenced. How about it, Lousy? Keep your word. Ace will experience homely, and you will experience warmth. Oh, yes, there is also humanitarian care, right? What about the jailer? Think about it. After the sentencing, arrange a few people to watch over him in the prison? We still have to treat everyone equally and not show partiality. That's what that gentleman said. But Impel Down is short-handed right now. I remember there were quite a few demons on the 5th floor. I'll just grab 8 or 10 of them and have them redeem themselves for their crimes. Then I'll put them in a cell to watch over this guy. Okay, that's it. Lousy is so fair. Ouch, no, my stomach hurts again. I have to go to the toilet quickly. Magellan said and turned to leave. Blackbeard had stood there in a daze, not knowing what to do for a moment. Advertisement. It was not until 2 jailers came forward and lifted him up that he reacted. It's not fair. This is not fair. I want to complain. Magellan, who had already walked away, sneered at Blackbeard's words. We have captured the old commander's nephew. How can we take special care of you? How are we going to greet the old commander when we meet in the future? Ouch, my stomach hurts more and more. Meanwhile, at the naval headquarters, inside Sengoku's office. Su Ming, Sengoku, and Crane were all present. Su Ming was sitting on the sofa opposite Sengoku with his legs crossed, drinking coffee and eating pastries. Suddenly, the office door was pushed open. The person who came was Garp. Upon learning that Ace was arrested, Garp hurried back from East Blue. Seeing Su Ming, Garp hurried forward. Stinky boy, what happened to Ace? Su Ming slowly put down the coffee in his hand. He has been put and impelled down, but the verdict has not yet come down. Hearing this, Garp looked at Sengoku behind the desk again. Before Garp could speak, Sengoku said, "Calm down, Garp. Do you want to make a big deal out of this?" Garp said excitedly, "He is my grandson." Sengoku slammed the table, stood up and glared at Garp, "But don't forget his identity. He is Roger's son. Before, we could turn a blind eye to him because you and Su Ming were here. Now he has been captured by the Marine. What do you want to do? Do you want us to just let him go? If that happens, once Ace's identity is known, what consequences will it have on the entire Marine?" Faced with Sengoku's roar, Garp suddenly stopped. But, Garp wanted to argue, but he also knew that Sengoku was right. If he dared to let Ace go openly, once people knew about it, Marine might even fall apart. The Marines below were fighting the pirates with all their might, but the Marine top brass actually teamed up to let the pirates go. This does not make sense. The atmosphere in the office was deadlocked. Su Ming, who had not spoken a word from beginning to end, suddenly spoke. "Actually, it's not impossible." Sengoku was shocked. "Su Ming, don't do anything stupid. Even though you are a 5 elder now, you should understand that it is difficult to offend the public." Su Ming ate the last piece of cake in his hand in one bite and wiped his mouth. "Actually, there are only 2 ways to save Ace. First, I use my power and release Ace directly, and then Marine will suffer the consequences. Second, wait for the pirates to come rescue us, and then we'll do them a favor." Garp's eyes darkened. Either of the 2 paths mentioned by Su Ming would be a huge blow to Marine. Advertisement for a moment, family ties and stance made this elderly man over 70 feel powerless. Su Ming glanced at Sengoku and Garp, smiled faintly, and continued. "But this is not the biggest problem. The biggest question is what to do with Ace afterwards. Old man, you haven't thought about it, have you? If we can catch Ace once, we will catch him a second time sooner or later." Every time? Garp's body trembled, and cold sweat instantly dripped down his temples. Yes, if Ace can be caught once, he will be caught a second time sooner or later. Because of Su Ming's financial support, Marine and world government are becoming stronger and stronger. I also heard that the territory to which Su Ming belongs has begun to implement new policies, the lives of civilians are guaranteed, and the number of pirates has begun to decrease. The pirates' era has begun to decline. Garp has a hunch that the pirates' era may end in Su Ming's hands. What will Ace do then? What about Luffy? Seeing Garp remain silent, Su Ming shook his head in disappointment. The solution to this problem is very simple, but neither Garp nor Sengoku are willing to say it. Or maybe I don't have the courage to say it. Both Sengoku and Garp are old. Too old to take the initiative to embrace the changes of the times. Su Ming stood up from the sofa. "Get rid of the Whitebeard pirates, and I'll give Ace a new identity. The era of pirates is almost over. Old man, you do the ideological work on Ace, and I'll be the bad guy." Sengoku stared at Su Ming. If Whitebeard dies, the world will be in turmoil. Su Ming glanced at Sengoku calmly. "What does that have to do with me?" Su Ming stood up. "It's settled. I want to save people. Anyone who tries to stop me will be thrown into the sea to feed the fish. Besides, the world situation is in turmoil every day. The word, pirates, should almost disappear from the sea. A new era is coming, you'd better be mentally prepared." Su Ming said and pushed the door open and left. Garp Sengoku looked at Su Ming's leaving back and felt a little at a loss for a moment. He, who had been standing in front of the window without saying a word, suddenly sighed. "You guys really don't understand this kid at all. This guy only cares about the people around him. It's useless to tie him down with the world situation or something. And isn't it our job to make the pirates disappear in the sea? We might have to think about our retirement life." Chapter 244. Impelled down in the night bar, Su Ming, who had left Sengoku's office, sat in his chair. Khalifa stood behind Su Ming, with her soft hands resting on Su Ming's shoulders and kneading them gently. She had already heard from Su Ming about what happened in Sengoku's office. "Is this matter really as difficult as you say? You are now a 5 elder. It shouldn't be a big deal if you open your mouth and release Ace." Khalifa was a little confused. As someone who worked for the world government, she knew only too well how powerful the world government was. Not to mention that Ace is the son of the pirates' King Roger. Even if Roger jumped out of the coffin, it would only take Su Ming a word to let him go. However, Su Ming shook his head. "Of course I can release Ace, but don't forget, there are more than 5 elders. Those old guys have been behaving themselves on the surface, but they have been doing some tricks behind the scenes. This time Ace was arrested, they were hoping that I would release Ace so that they could hold me responsible. That's when the real trouble comes." Khalifa frowned slightly. "You mean, those 5 elders will use this incident to attack you?" Su Ming smiled slightly, and took Khalifa into his arms with his backhand. "I won't resort to violence. After all, my current identity is here. If I'm not mistaken, they should want to take this opportunity to weaken Yimu's trust in me.
Khalifa sat obediently in Su Ming's arms and looked at him curiously. Are you so sure about what those old guys think? Su Ming laughed. Those old guys can't do anything else. They should be having a meeting right now to figure out how to properly spread the news of Ace's execution. This way I won't be able to let Ace go secretly. Forcing me to rescue Ace. Khalifa thought about it and felt that what Su Ming said made sense. Suddenly, Su Ming's big hand slapped Khalifa's butt. The frightened Khalifa screamed, then reacted and glared at Su Ming angrily. Stop messing around, let's talk business. Since this is so difficult, what are you going to do? You can't really not save Ace. Khalifa knows her man very well. Although Su Ming appears to be nonchalant on the surface, he values the people around him very much. There was no way he was going to watch Ace being executed like this. Advertisement. Su Ming raised his eyebrows. This girl's figure has grown again. It seems I need to go back and get to know her better. Su Ming collected his thoughts, rubbed his chin, and turned his eyes. What should I do? It's easy. If they don't let me save them, then let others save them. Come on, accompany me to Impel Down. It's time to go see my old subordinates. Impel Down has been deserted for so many years. This time it's going to be lively again. At the same time, in the holy land of Mary Joy. In the Five Elders' office, as Su Ming expected, after learning that Ace had been arrested, the four people immediately gathered together. Good opportunity. This is a great opportunity. We finally caught Su Ming. The fat Five Elders danced with joy. Damn it, I have been bullied by this kid Su Ming for a long time. This kid relied on Lord Yim's favor and almost snatched away all the territory in his hands. What's even more hateful is that Su Ming relied on Lord Yim's trust to implement some democratic policies in his own territory. They say that nobles and commoners are all equal. During Su Ming's tenure, he gave these civilians crazy benefits, so much so that now whenever he argues about taxes, the people under him will revolt. I feel overwhelmed every day. The amount of hair I lost in the past few hundred years combined is not as much as I have lost in these 3 months. 3 months. Do you know how I spent these 3 months? The curly-haired Five Elders were much calmer. Don't worry, we have to make good use of this good opportunity and don't let Su Ming get away with it. According to my information, Su Ming's nephew Ace is currently being held in the upper level of Impel Down, and he's doing pretty well. Humph, it's obvious that Su Ming wants to wait until the storm has died down and then quietly release his nephew. In this case, let's make this a big deal. One of the Five Elders warned, but now the news is in Su Ming's hands. If this guy suppresses it with all his strength, I'm afraid it will be difficult for us to make a big fuss. The curly-haired Five Elders smiled slightly and said, it's okay. Isn't there a guy named Blackbeard who was captured in Impel Down with Ace? He's very ambitious. Find someone to contact him and find a way to get him out. This guy has been tortured by the jailers in Impel Down a lot. He hates Ace very much. If we let him out, he will naturally help us spread the news. The eyes of the remaining Five Elders lit up. Okay, let's do it. I'll send someone to Impel Down now. We have to get it done before Su Ming can react. However, at the same time, advertisement. Accompanied by Magellan, Su Ming and Khalifa have arrived at the door of a guard's office on the 4th floor of Impel Down. Before I could push the door open, I heard a loud crashing sound from inside. Ha ha ha, it's a win. Come on, give me the money, and I'll pay off all the debts I owed last time. By the way, don't hide it, you still owe me a box of cigars. Yuji Shiryu's cheerful laughter came out along with the sound of mahjong tiles colliding. Magellan smiled awkwardly. Old boss, this Impel Down is nothing serious. Shiryu just plays around occasionally, and it definitely doesn't interfere with work. My goodness. The superior leader came to check on him, but this guy was still happily playing mahjong. You really love to play. Su Ming ignored Magellan's words. How could he not know what Yuji Shiryu was like? As I opened the door, a strong and pungent smell of smoke hit me in the face. Inside the house, 4 mahjong friends were shrouded in smoke. Who? Didn't I say Lousy is on vacation today? Rub it well. No, old boss. Seeing someone coming, Shiryu was about to curse, but when he saw Su Ming's face, he quickly stood up and saluted. Su Ming waved his hand, and the smoke in the room slowly dissipated. He saw Yuji Shiryu in front of him with 2 thick dark circles under his eyes, and his cheekbones almost protruding from the skin. Su Ming turned his head and looked at Magellan. You call this playing around occasionally? I'm so lucky I came early. If I were later, I would have to wait for you to come in my dreams if I wanted to see you. Shiryu lowered her head in embarrassment. Seeing Shiryu like this, Su Ming rolled his eyes, sighed and waved his hand. Okay, this matter can't be entirely blamed on you. Impel Down has not seen the light of day for many years and is in charge of a group of extremely vicious pirates. It is not easy for him to keep his mind clear. In the original novel, Shiryu Umeno became a murderer because of this kind of environment. Although he now likes playing mahjong a little under his influence, it is better than killing people. Su Ming fumbled in his arms, took out a transparent glass bottle of medicine and threw it to Yuji Shiryu. Yes, this is a new physical strengthening potion developed by the Academy of Sciences. There is not much of it. Drink it. This time, I have something for you to do. Chapter 245 Conspiring Loudly. Hearing that Su Ming had something for her to do, Yuji Shiryu stood up excitedly. Old sir, Whatever you want, just tell me. Not to mention that Su Ming was his poker mentor, based on their past friendship, since Su Ming took the initiative to ask, he had no reason to refuse. What's more, since I need to do something, I must leave Impel Down. It's better to see the sea outside than to stay in this place without sunlight. Behind him, Magellan also showed excitement on his face when he heard this. Old sir, can Shiryu do it alone? How about taking me with you? I'm strong, and my physical fitness is definitely better than this kid. Su Ming looked back at Magellan. Magellan straightened hastily. However, gurgle, Magellan's abdomen made a rumble. Magellan, who had a serious expression just now, began to twitch his eyes. His upright body unconsciously hunched over. Despite this, Magellan remained standing. Su Ming rolled his eyes. Okay, just stop joining in the fun. It's inconvenient to carry a toilet with you. Khalifa behind him couldn't help but cover her mouth and chuckle. Magellan held his stomach and finally couldn't hold on any longer. Well, old sir, I'll excuse myself for a moment. I'll be right back. Magellan disappeared in a flash after saying this. Yuji Shiryu chased away several of his poker friends and cleaned the room again. Then he invited Su Ming and Khalifa into the house with an apologetic look on his face. Yu Shiryu asked carefully, Old sir, what mission are you going to carry out? Can you tell me first? Su Ming picked up a mahjong tile from the table and played with it in his hand. My nephew was taken to Impel Down. You should know about this. Shiryu nodded quickly. I know. I wanted to visit Master Ace, but that old guy Magellan always said that Master Ace was busy and wouldn't let me go. Do you want me to let the young master out? Don't worry, old sir. Once we get to Impel Down, it's like being at home. How about I make some arrangements to send the young master off? Advertisement. Khalifa, who was sitting next to Su Ming, couldn't help but roll his eyes. This Rain Shiryu is also a talent. Ace is a criminal no matter what. He is still being bid farewell. Do you want to get some Impel Down souvenirs? Khalifa was thinking when Rain Shiryu clapped his hands. By the way, we don't have any other specialties in Impel Down, but we have a lot of dried deep-sea fish, which you can't find outside. I'll ask someone to bring some back to Master Ace. It's impossible to leave empty-handed after this trip. Caliph. Seeing that Shiryu was talking more and more outrageously, Su Ming quickly coughed to stop him. Ahem, no need for specialties. That kid isn't very obedient, and he deserves a lesson here. This time I'm looking for you for something else. I have a feud with several other five elders. You should all know about this. In the eyes of the outside world, Su Ming, the five elder, killed the previous five elders to succeed to the throne. It would be strange if he could get along well with other five elders. This has long been an open secret to the outside world. Yuji Shiryu nodded, waiting for Su Ming's next words. Su Ming continued. Now that Ace has been arrested, those old guys will definitely make a fuss about it and send someone to impel him down. A gleam flashed in Rain Shiryu's eyes. Don't worry, old sir. With me here, they won't even be able to get through the gate of justice. Su Ming shook his head. Why don't you let them in? Not only should we let them in, but we should also fully cooperate with them and provide them with the greatest convenience. Blackbeard was also captured with Ace, right? He is most likely the target of those old guys. Rain Shiryu nodded. Su Ming continued. I'll ask Magellan to pack you up and keep you on the 5th floor for now. As for the crime, just say that you like killing people and are bloodthirsty. You should find a way to lurk under Blackbeard and ensure that the pawns of those old guys are under our control. Shiryu finally understood Su Ming's order. Shiryu saluted Su Ming solemnly. Yes, old sir, I promise to complete the mission. 3 days later, outside the Impel Down, 2 high-ranking officials wearing white uniforms of the world government revealed their identities. Director Magellan personally greeted him. We are members of the world government and have been ordered to inspect Impel Down and rectify military discipline. We hope that Director Magellan will fully cooperate. Advertisement. Magellan looked at the 2 world government staff members in front of him, rubbing their hands and smiling. Cooperate. Absolutely cooperate. Domino, take the 2 officers around and make sure you cooperate with their work and satisfy them. If anyone dares to stop you, just say that I gave the order myself. Domino, wearing an Impel Down Marine uniform, walked out from behind Magellan. Sirs, this is our current warden, Miss Domino. She is very familiar with Impel Down. Let her show you around. What do you think? The world government staff exchanged glances and nodded. Okay, lead the way. Magellan watched the 2 world government staff members walk into Impel Down and return to the office. As soon as I pushed the door open, I saw Su Ming sitting on a chair, watching the surveillance camera. Magellan stepped forward. Old sir, just as you thought, the world government has indeed sent someone here. In the surveillance video, after the 2 staff members were out of Magellan's sight, they found a random excuse to send Domino away. Domino, who had received the instructions earlier, naturally would not be troubled. Su Ming saw all of this through the surveillance camera. The 2 of them went all the way to Blackbeard's prison. Under Su Ming's surveillance, he whispered the 5 elders' plan and Blackbeard's deal. In front of the prison, a world government staff member looks at Blackbeard. Did you understand what we just said? We can let you out, but once you're out, you have to do everything you can to spread the word about Ace's identity. If this matter is done well, Lord 5 Elders will have other rewards. After saying that, the staff member seemed to have thought of something and looked at Blackbeard. Remember, don't tell anyone about the world government's visit to you, especially those related to Su Ming. If we find out that you have disclosed the matter, you should know what kind of enemy you are facing. At the same time, Su Ming, Magellan, Hannibal, Domino, etc. Dozens of guards, big and small, in Impel Down were watching the surveillance footage, as if they were watching a big movie. Su Ming even took out a video worm. The two world government staff members who have always made keeping secrets their top priority don't know yet. Without the person knowing it, the so-called secret has been known by the person who should least know it. Chapter 246, 50 billion reward. The two world government staff members hurriedly left Impel Down after saying hello to Magellan. Magellan returned to his office. Su Ming sat on a chair, playing with the video phone bug in his hand, and asked casually, have they all been sent away? Magellan respectfully said to Kaido, yes, old sir, they have all been sent away. Those two people should not have noticed anything unusual. Su Ming nodded. It is normal not to find any abnormalities. The Den Den Mushi that was monitoring them was a new monitoring Den Den Mushi developed by the Scientific Research Department, which could not be detected by ordinary observation haki. It was worth it for me to go to the scientific research team in person to find Jaji and Gaisa. Magellan looked at the Den Den Mushi in Su Ming's hand and asked curiously, old sir, what should we do next? The five elders have come into contact with Blackbeard just as you said. And judging from their conversation, they want to make Master Ace's identity public. If that's the case, it might be a bit troublesome. Should we send someone to guard it strictly, or just send this Blackbeard to the 6th floor? Impel Down 6 floors, where all the prisoners were once famous figures on the sea. Normally, Blackbeard wouldn't qualify. Su Ming turned his head, glanced at Magellan, and smiled faintly. No, just let them do it. Those old guys are determined to announce Ace's news, and no one can stop them. As for Blackbeard, doesn't he have ambitions to become famous across the sea? When the time comes, I will help him. Su Ming showed a sly smile. Magellan, who was behind him, looked at Su Ming's expression, shuddered involuntarily, and took half a step back. Somehow, I suddenly recalled the years when Su Ming was the director of Impel Down. Whenever Su Ming showed this expression, someone would be in trouble. Su Ming stood up. The matter had been resolved, and he had no intention of staying in Impel Down any longer. According to my estimation, it won't be long before Blackbeard starts to escape from prison. You just stay here normally and act like Blackbeard is coming to you and release him. As for the pirates who escaped, I will arrange for someone to finish them off. There are quite a few pirates in Impel Down. If they were all released, it would definitely cause great chaos in the ocean. In the past few years, under Su Ming's governance, stability has just improved a little bit. We can't let this group of lawless elements destroy it. This is very disadvantageous to making money. After all, I am now a 5 elders. If the sea is too turbulent, I won't be able to fish in peace. By the way, Crocodile is also imprisoned on the 4th floor, right? Su Ming turned and looked at Magellan and asked. Magellan nodded. Advertisement. Yes, with your personal greeting, we arranged a room for him in the Impel Down 4 cities. Impel Down 4 levels, the burning hell. Hot lava pools can be seen everywhere. Because it is exposed to high temperatures all year round, even the ground is red, like a red-hot iron. Because of dehydration due to the high temperature, the prisoners held here all look skinny. No matter how high-spirited the pirates were, once they were locked up here, they would quickly lose all their fighting spirit. Because this place is an endless hell. However, there are exceptions. Inside Crocodile's room. In the training room, Crocodile is honing his hockey and fruit abilities. Compared to other pirates, Crocodile never slacked off in his practice. Because he knew that with Su Ming around, he would be able to get out sooner or later. Besides, Impel Down's special care for him made him worry-free about food and clothing here. If I don't exercise every day, I'm afraid I won't be able to walk when I go out. Crocodile finished his workout and walked out of the bathroom, just about to see what new news there was today. However, as soon as I came out, I saw Su Ming sitting on the sofa. Crocodile was startled and hurried forward. Boss. Su Ming looked at Crocodile with a smile. Are you used to staying here? Crocodile nodded. Thank you for your special care, boss. I'm fine with everything, but I'm a little uncomfortable with the sudden idleness. Su Ming smiled. Well, I said before that I would find a chance to let you out, and now the chance has come. There will be a riot in Impel Down soon. You can escape during the chaos. When you get out, use this Den Den Mushi to contact me. You will be a core member of the night bar and can mobilize 30% of the resources of the night bar. Crocodile looked ecstatic. Although it is only 30%, the size of night bar now covers the entire ocean. Just based on this sentence, Crocodile feels that it would be worth it even if he stayed here for a few more years. Thank you, boss, for your training. Crocodile knelt on one knee excitedly. Su Ming waved his hand. Advertisement. Okay, I have something else to do, so I'll leave first. I'll contact you when you get out. Su Ming turned and left Crocodile's room. Crocodile looked at the Den Den Mushi that Su Ming had placed on the table, and his heart was unable to calm down for a long time.
Suddenly, Crocodile thought of something. The boss said he has something else to do? Having just received such a great benefit from Su Ming, Crocodile felt a little uneasy if he didn't do something for Su Ming. I contacted Magellan using the Den Mushi. Considering that Crocodile was also Su Ming's man, Magellan did not hide the matter of Blackbeard from him. Putting down the Den Mushi, Crocodile showed a sneer on his face. Blackbeard? Haha, he was just an ordinary crew member of Whitebeard. I didn't expect that he was hiding so deeply. But I'm sorry for daring to offend the boss. I have just become a core member. If I don't have any achievements, it will be difficult to handle it. I will use you as a gift to the boss. Crocodile's eyes sparkled, then he called the jailer over. Arrange a normal cell for me and prepare a set of prisoner's clothes. I have something important to do, go quickly. The jailer was visibly stunned. He also knew that the former Shichibukai member in front of him was no ordinary criminal. Even Director Magellan comes to visit from time to time. He never treated Crocodile as a prisoner, but rather as an officer who was put in solitary confinement for making a mistake. Therefore, he was not opposed to Crocodile's arrangement, but he did not understand why the other party did this. Crocodile had no intention of explaining. Don't ask any more questions. Go and make arrangements right away. Also, this matter must not be known to anyone else. Watching the jailer leave, Crocodile showed a satisfied smile on his face. Blackbeard. Night bar. As soon as Su Ming came back, he called Khalifa to his office. Go and offer a reward in the name of the night bar. Reward for Blackbeard, Marshal D. Teach, 50 billion. It also needs to be clearly written that this bounty can be claimed by both Marines and pirates at the night bar. By the way, this bounty will be announced after Blackbeard issues Impel Down. He wants to be famous, so I'll help him. Chapter 247 Blackbeard. It's broken. I've become a great secret treasure. Khalifa looked at Su Ming, sized him up and down for a while, and finally gave him a thumbs up silently. It would be a real loss for celestial dragons if you don't become one. After saying this, Khalifa ran out of the office before Su Ming could react. Su Ming raised his eyebrows as he watched Khalifa leave. This girl is becoming more and more naughty. In the blink of an eye, another half-month has passed. On this day, Blackbeard, who had been imprisoned on the 4th floor of Impel Down, finally made a move. Oh no! A prisoner has escaped from prison, the guards' voices shouted over the prison radio. Magellan, who had been staying in the office, suddenly became alert. Oh my god! I finally waited for you. In order to ensure that nothing went wrong with what Su Ming had assigned him, Magellan had been staying at his post for the past half-month, not daring to leave. I really didn't expect that Blackbeard was so patient. In a place like Impel Down, I already have a way to escape, but I can still stay there patiently for half a month. Even Magellan had to re-examine this guy who was captured together with the old boss's nephew. At the same time, Blackbeard broke free from the seastone handcuffs and a wild smile appeared on his face again. Ha 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 ha, lousy is Blackbeard. You think you can lock me up with just an Impel Down? You are too naive? Blackbeard looked around and his eyes fell on the keychain on the guard's waist. The dark aura condensed into a palm and grabbed the keychain. All the prisoners in the prison suddenly went crazy. Hey, boy, help me open the cell, I can give you a lot of Baileys. Get lost. Lousy was a pirate worth hundreds of millions before he came in. Help me open the cell and I'll let you be my vice captain. I hid the treasure on a small island before I came here. Help me and I'll tell you where the treasure is. The prisoner in the cell stared at the keychain in Blackbeard's hand. At this moment, the prisoner's desire for life was aroused again. However, Blackbeard looked at these prisoners with a cruel look in his eyes. Want to come out? Ha ha ha, no problem, but Lousy also wants to see your quality. Stay alive. Anyone who can escape Impel Down alive with me can join my pirates group. As he spoke, Blackbeard waved his hand and inserted keys into the keyholes accurately. Crack. The cell opens. Ha ha ha, Lousy is out. 30 years. When we get out of Lousy, we must kill him to our heart's content. Hee hee hee. I wonder if the Marine who captured Lousy is still here. Don't let him die at sea. Advertisement. The moment the prisoner's shackles were removed, all his promises to Blackbeard were forgotten. Blackbeard saw it all, but was not surprised at all. For real pirates, betrayal and breaking promises are normal things. Drawing swords against each other if there is a disagreement is just basic operation. Besides, he didn't expect these people to keep their promise. What I have to do is to release these guys first to cause Impel Down unrest. Only when I take advantage of the chaos to escape and catch up with me will those who can barely keep up with me be qualified to follow me. As for those guys who fell down on the road and died in Impel Down, he didn't care at all. Charge. Get out of Impel Down. A group of prisoners rushed toward the upward passage. Blackbeard looked at these people but did not follow them. Instead, he ran towards the lower level of Impel Down. A bunch of cannon fodder. Is it so easy to get out of Impel Down? We let you out so that you can help Lousy buy some time. The people locked up on the 5th and 6th floors of Impel Down are the big shots that are really worth recruiting. In the office, Magellan looked at the surveillance camera and picked up the Den Mushi with excitement. Hey, Shiryu, hurry up and get ready, Blackbeard is about to go down. In the darkness, Shiryu smiled. Don't worry, don't forget that I also worked with the old boss. When it comes to acting, I have never been defeated by anyone in Impel Down. As soon as he finished speaking, the sound of footsteps came into the darkness. This was followed by a strange laugh. Look at how miserable you are. You are so pitiful. If it weren't for me, you would have remained locked up here until the day you died. But you were lucky. Follow me and I can take you out and make you famous across the sea. Although Blackbeard's personal charm was not that strong, the prisoner in the cell at this moment had no room for bargaining. In the end, except for Shiryu, the big pirates such as the Evil King, the Xuanyue Hunter, the huge battleship, and the Big Wine expressed their willingness to cooperate temporarily and consider following after getting out. Blackbeard looked at the powerful pirates and was very satisfied. Before they came here, they were all famous pirates. If I were to recruit them one by one on the sea, it would take me an eon to find them. At this moment Blackbeard just wants to say that everyone in Impel Down is talented, interesting, and speaks well. I love this place. Blackbeard uncuffed several people and waved his hand. Let's go, it's time to make some noise, return to the 4th floor of Impel Down again. A large number of prisoners were blocking the bridge, but they could not be killed. Blackbeard snorted. A bunch of rubbish. Advertisement. Dark Cave Road. The dark aura swept over like a strong wind. All the pirates on the bridge who were unable to dodge were swallowed up by the darkness and were no longer able to make any sound. It's the guy who let us out. Everyone recognized Blackbeard immediately. And those guys on the 6th floor, they actually came out too. Blackbeard led a few people onto the bridge. The group of prisoners blocking the bridge unconsciously made way for them. Ha ha ha, pirates, follow me, I will lead you out. In the director's office, Magellan picked up the Dendenmushi. That's enough, let them go. The Marine received the order and began to retreat. The smile on Blackbeard's face grew wilder. It seems that the 2 world government staff members described Impel Down too exaggeratedly. It's not difficult at all to escape. It's a bit redundant to release so many cannon fodder. Under the fierce attack of the pirates and Magellan's crazy release, the pirates successfully reached the 1st floor of Impel Down. The light is just around the corner. Just take another half step forward and you will be free again. On the sea, beauty, wealth, and status are all beckoning to him. All the pirates began to imagine how they would live a life of luxury and debauchery after they were released. Blackbeard stood in the crowd and saw it all. These prisoners are at their most excited at this moment, and it is also the best time to subdue them. However, at this moment, bounty notices suddenly fell from the air. What is this? It seems to be a bounty? Blackbeard, Marshal D. Teach bounty. 1, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100 million, billion, 10 billion. Holy crap. This guy is worth 50 billion Baileys. Look below. This is not a bounty from the Marine. This is a bounty from the night bar. Both pirates and Marines can claim it. In the crowd, Blackbeard looked at his bounty, his hands shaking. The excitement quickly faded from his eyes, and an uncontrollable chill rose from his back. Although I didn't look back, I could clearly feel that many pairs of eyes were staring at me. Broken. Have I become a great secret treasure? Chapter 248 Power Confrontation. Looking at the bounty in his hand, cold sweat dripped down Blackbeard's temples. Blackbeard didn't dare to act rashly. He glanced at the pirates around him and found that they were all looking at him and approaching him little by little. Etc. The son of Pirate King Roger, Portgas Diaz, is in Impel Down. If we catch him, we can get the whereabouts of the Pirate King's great treasure. I know where he is. Blackbeard yelled, trying to distract the guys with Ace. Ace? The Pirate's King's son? The Pirate's King actually has a son, and he's imprisoned in Impel Down? Roger left the secret of the great treasure to his son? The pirates were skeptical. Blackbeard breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, I spoke in time, otherwise, who knows what these pirates would do. However, the next second, puff, a long knife pierced through his back. Blackbeard's eyes widened. You, the one who drew the knife was a little-known pirates. But what made Blackbeard angry was that the subordinates standing behind him did not try to stop or warn him. He. Lousy is new to Impel Down. The great treasure Roger mentioned has not been found in all these years. It's unclear whether it exists or not. But the reward for this night bar is real. Lousy went to sea for wealth and glory. 50 billion Baileys, and he is still looking for a big secret treasure. The sound of the pirates drawing their swords was not loud, but all the pirates present could hear it very clearly. The pirates who were previously hesitant about whether to capture Blackbeard or go find Ace suddenly reacted. Yes, it is still unclear whether there is any great secret treasure or not. As long as Blackbeard is caught, we will be out of poverty and become rich. What great secret treasure can be worth 50 billion? Everyone reacted. Kill Blackbeard. Get out of here, the reward is mine. 50 billion here I come. Anyone want to join forces? Kill Blackbeard together and split the reward. All the pirates attacked Blackbeard. I just hope I'm the lucky one who kills Blackbeard. Blackbeard, who was surrounded by enemies, gritted his teeth and used the dark fruit's abilities to resist, feeling desperate. He still had ambitions to fulfill, but he was going to die miserably and Impel Down, at the hands of these low-level pirates. Even with the dark fruit, Blackbeard was constantly hit. The pain continued to stimulate Blackbeard's brain, and it seemed that he was about to reach his limit. Suddenly, a flash of knife light flashed through the crowd, and dozens of heads flew into the air. A bunch of ants. Shiryu shook the blood off the blade with disdain and walked over to Blackbeard. Advertisement: the powerful Rain Shiryu suddenly attacked, shocking the pirates. Before anyone could react, another cold voice rang out from the crowd. Desert Sword. A sharp blade made of gravel on the ground pierced through a dozen pirates like a string of candied haws. Blood mixed with sand scattered on the ground. Tisk, real pirates shouldn't die at the hands of ants like you. Crocodile walked out of the crowd and stood between Blackbeard and the pirates. Behind him, Blackbeard looked at the two people in front of him, tears welling up in his eyes. I'm so touched. There was a 50 billion bounty on his head, yet there were still people willing to stand up and help him. There is a lot of true love in the world. Blackbeard looked at the two men and made a secret decision in his heart that as long as he survived the disaster, he would definitely make use of these two people. After all, he didn't stab me at such a life and death moment, they're definitely brothers. With the help of Crocodile and Rain Shiryu, Blackbeard's pressure was suddenly reduced. He struggled to stand up and wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. Ha ha ha, you want to exchange Lousy's head for a bonus? Come on, let Lousy see who kills who. Holy Land, Marijoy. The news of the Impel Down riot reached several Five Elders immediately.
The plan worked, and the 4 Five Elders applauded. However, before the 4 of them could be happy, Su Ming's bounty on Blackbeard had already spread all over the world. Blackbeard Marshal D. Teach, reward of 50 billion berries. Looking at the bounty, the 4 Five Elders were almost angry to death. Are you kidding me? Intentional. Su Ming definitely did it on purpose. In the Five Elders' office, Su Ming sat opposite 4 Five Elders, yawning in boredom. Veins on the foreheads of the 4 Five Elders kept throbbing. Bang! The curly-haired 5 Elders slammed Blackbeard's bounty on the table. Su Ming, what do you mean? A 50 billion bounty, you are intentionally disrupting the world order. In the office, curly-haired 5 Elders gritted his teeth and stared at Su Ming, who was sitting opposite him. No matter how hard they thought about it, they never imagined that their perfect plan would be broken by this kid's ability to use money. Especially Blackbeard has revealed Ace's identity. But now, no one in the world pays attention to Ace. Instead, all the attention was focused on Blackbeard, and no one cared about Ace's life or death. A few people were even a little worried that if Su Ming rescued Ace now, no one would care. Facing the angry 5 Elders, Su Ming continued to trim his nails without caring. Advertisement. This contemptuous behavior completely angered several 5 Elders. Su Ming, don't think I don't know what you want to do. Ace is the son of the Pirates King. You want to let him go privately. You are betraying Lord Yimu. That's right, Su Ming, I've already seen that you have ulterior motives towards Lord Yimu. Let's go and report this to Lord Yim. Several 5 Elders angrily denounced Su Ming. Only the curly-haired 5 Elders remained silent. He waited until the others finished scolding him, then he coughed and said, Don't worry, Su Ming is still our colleague after all, and Ace hasn't escaped yet. Let me see. The curly-haired 5 Elders paused, looked at Su Ming, and smiled smugly. In my opinion, the reason why Lord Su Ming did this is mainly because he has too much wealth and property in his hands. His power is too expanded, which is not conducive to serving Lord Yimu.
Why not take this opportunity to divide up the property? This will be good for everyone. The words of the curly-haired 5 Elders were immediately agreed by several other 5 Elders. Agree. Reconsideration. The 4 5 Elders finally spoke their true feelings.
Su Ming put his hand down and glanced at a few people with contempt. After taking such a long detour, I finally get to the point. But your abacus beads are about to jump on my face. It's hard for you to say so much nonsense. Well, in order to avoid misunderstandings, I will make it clear that I don't have money, but if you want my life, I will report your recent actions to Yimu.
The curly-haired 5 Elders' face darkened. Su Ming, think carefully. If Lord Yim knew about the Impel Down incident this time. Without waiting for the curly-haired 5 Elders to finish his words, Su Ming took out a Den Den Mushi from his arms and placed it on the table. Then a curtain of light shot out from the eyes of the Den Den Mushi. We can let you out, but once you get out, you have to do everything you can to spread the word about Ace's identity. Remember, don't tell anyone about the world government's visit to you, especially those related to Su Ming. The video showed 2 of the 5 Elders' men talking to Blackbeard. The curly-haired 5 Elders' face changed drastically, a gleam of light flashed in his eyes, and he snatched the Den Den Mushi and crushed it directly. Humph, Su Ming, now you still have. Before the curly-haired 5 Elders finished speaking, Su Ming slowly took out a Den Den Mushi from his arms and pressed the play button. The picture just connects to the previous image. It's okay, go ahead, I still have a lot. 5 Elders. Are you kidding? How could I only prepare one piece of evidence like this? As soon as I finished recording, I asked Kaji to mass produce it. Seeing Su Ming's unhurried appearance, the 4 5 Elders' faces turned livid. Su Ming looked at the 3 of them with a smile. By the way, you probably haven't noticed yet, these 2 men who handed over to Blackbeard have never returned to the Holy Land. Where do you think they are now? Guess again, if Lord Yim catches these 2 people, can he get any useful information from their heads? Chapter 249. Heading to the headquarters, Su Ming looked at the 5 Elders opposite him with a smile. The kind smile made the hairs on the backs of several people stand up. This guy had already expected that he would make a fuss about Ace's affairs. Su Ming, what do you want to do? The curly-haired 5 Elders raised his voice, but in Su Ming's eyes, he seemed to lack confidence. What do I want? Su Ming raised his eyebrows slightly. You guys have been targeting me from the beginning, right? If you hadn't sent someone to Impel Down to contact Blackbeard, would I have caught you? You. Several 5 Elders were speechless, although that's what I said, you're too rude. You are all top figures. Even if you want to compete, shouldn't you do it in secret? Why are you recording this video? Besides, tell me the truth, boy, have they also deployed personnel into the scientific research unit? We don't even know about this new type of videophone bug. Looking at Su Ming, who was sitting opposite him with a smile on his face and looking calm, the five elders' teeth kept gnashing. How many of his own people has this guy planted under the world government? Even though they are now in the Holy Land, they always feel like someone is watching them. Seeing that the five elders were silent, Su Ming sat up and restrained his laziness. I suggest everyone think carefully about Ace's matter. Should we settle it among ourselves, or should we go to Imna and make our stand clear? The five elders looked at each other. There was an obvious threat in Su Ming's words, but the Den Mushi on the table prevented them from getting angry. Although Ace is Roger's son, Su Ming's letting him go is undoubtedly a betrayal to the world government. However, a few people used their power to cause unrest and impel down and released a large number of prisoners. If Yim knew about this, he would definitely not suffer any good consequences. This is a result they don't want to see. I had already displeased Lord Yim last time. The four of them exchanged glances, and after weighing the pros and cons, the curly-haired five elders said, Lord Yim likes quietness, so there is no need to let Lord Yim know about this little thing. Although Ace is Roger's son, he is related to you after all. As colleagues, we can give you some face. You can use all means to rescue Ace, and we will also stop you. Whether Ace can be rescued depends on our own means. Advertisement. Su Ming nodded and stood up. Okay, on Ace's execution day, everyone will use their own methods. Su Ming pushed the door open and left without even looking at them. Su Ming. As soon as Su Ming left, the curly-haired five elders could no longer suppress his anger and grabbed the teacup in front of him and smashed it to pieces. The fat five elders glanced at the curly-haired five elders and said coldly. Okay, everyone has gone far away. The curly-haired five elders glared fiercely upon hearing this. Do you really need to lecture me here? If you have time for this, you might as well think about how to deal with this kid. The blonde five elders snorted coldly. Clean up? What do you use to clean up? Do you think Lord Yimu believes in him or us now? Su Ming's position in Yim's heart is definitely higher than that of several others. If the matter really gets to Imna, I will be the one who suffers. We can't do anything to this kid until we have some substantial evidence against him. Suddenly, the eyes of five elders, who was leaning on a cane, lit up. I have an idea. Su Ming can put a bounty on Blackbeard, and we can also put a bounty on Ace to get everyone's attention back on Ace. As long as Ace is being watched, I don't believe that Su Ming dares to openly defy the world government and take Ace away. The five elders who was leaning on a cane finished speaking, still feeling smug about the plan he had come up with, but when he turned around, he found that the other five elders on the sofa were looking at him as if he were an idiot. Is there anything wrong with what I said? Hearing this, the curly-haired five elders sneered and shook his head. No problem, very good, then I'll leave the matter of competing with Su Ming for financial strength to you, how about it? Five elders, who was leaning on a cane, suddenly couldn't utter a word. Damn it, I forgot about this matter. Ever since Su Ming became the five elders' financial god, all of his finances had to be approved by Su Ming. I can come up with 50 billion, but I have to grit my teeth and empty my own piggy bank. But 50 billion Baileys is just a drop in the bucket for Su Ming. If this kid wanted to, he wouldn't even frown at adding 2 zeros at the end. Damn rich people. Several five elders couldn't help but curse in their hearts. Who would have thought that celestial dragons and five elders would one day worry about money? Advertisement. It's really boring to be a celestial dragon. Okay, stop thinking about it. Set a date for Ace's execution. We will also be there for his execution this time. With a few of us coming in person, I don't believe that Su Ming can rescue people in front of us. Even if we can't take this guy down, we have to let him know that we are not easy to mess with. Now that the relationship has been exposed, curly-haired five elders doesn't intend to hide it anymore and will just use whatever means he has. Also, ask someone to go. Never mind, I'll go to the research department myself. Let's get a few of these video recording telephone bugs that Su Ming made, and set them up on the day of Ace's execution. The curly-haired five elders just felt angry. I am the five elders, the one in charge of the world government. Now I don't even have any trusted subordinates, and I have to go there in person to get 2 Den Mushi. In New World, the news of Blackbeard's bounty and the execution of the son of pirates King Roger were spread at the same time. Almost all the major forces on the sea have their eyes on Blackbeard. Except for the Whitebeard pirates. Whitebeard Edward Newgate looked at the newspaper in his hand, his expression more solemn than ever before. Marco on the side said worriedly, Dad, Ace should be fine, after all, he is. Before Marco could finish his words, Whitebeard interrupted him with a wave of his hand, not letting him continue. Ace is Lousy's son. Other than that, who he is has nothing to do with Lousy. There is no father in this world who would watch his son die without caring. Notify all fleets and follow Lousy to the naval headquarters to rescue Ace. Lousy, but Whitebeard, the word, Whitebeard, ignited the emotions of everyone on the ship. Marco opened his mouth, but in the end, no words came out. And in a moment that no one could see, Whitebeard's eyes dimmed for a moment. Whitebeard had already guessed what Marco was going to say. But as a true great pirate, Whitebeard understands the pinnacle of power in this world better. The newspaper in his hand and Blackbeard's reward were actually signals from Su Ming to him. Only if he shows up can Su Ming rescue Ace legitimately. As for himself, Whitebeard had already prepared for the worst. I don't know how strong the little brat is now, so let's make a big scene one last time. Chapter 250 Luffy. You want to be my aunt too? Grand line? The various forces entrenched in the first half in the New World looked at the newspapers and rewards in their hands. I just feel a storm is coming. Wano Kuni Ghost Island. The son of the Pirates King is going to be executed? Given Whitebeard's character, he will definitely go to the naval headquarters for rescue. Lousy has to join in the fun. Ever since he established business relations with the night bar, Kaido has been able to get whatever he wants in Wano Kuni. He has the territory and women he wants. Even the Marine and the world government basically don't cause trouble for me because of the night bar. If he hadn't been so focused on business, Yamato might have had a few more brothers and sisters. But days like this always lack a bit of excitement compared to the past. I am slowly becoming like the dealer of a night bar, which is really boring. And because of Su Ming's management, the number of new generation pirates on the sea is constantly decreasing, and the pirates who can enter the new world are even rarer. This new generation gold medal mentor has been idle for a long time. In the past few years, there were always some newcomers who challenged themselves beyond their capabilities and asked me to help them quit their addiction. But I haven't seen any of them in the past 2 years. The purity of pirates in the past 2 years is really too low. Kaido spat, venting his dissatisfaction. However, the newspaper in his hand turned to the second page. A bounty notice was clearly hidden inside. A bounty for a newcomer? This lousy needs to take a good look at it. Marshal D. Teach, bounty, 50 billion? Kaido rubbed his eyes in disbelief and counted the 0 after the bounty again. After confirming that the reward money was written correctly, Kaido's face suddenly turned gloomy. F*K. Who is this Blackbeard? A 50 billion bounty? Have you been certified by me, a famous teacher? Have you completed the 3 legendary achievements of New World? Why on earth do you have such a high bounty on your head? Kaido, who has gradually accepted his identity as the New World Pirate's golden mentor, became furious when he saw the bounty on Blackbeard. No, Lousy must go there in person. Someone come. Beast's Pirates big sign. Jack heard the sound and walked into the house. Grand Commander. Kaido threw the reward in his hand in front of Jack. Send someone to check where this Blackbeard is now. Lousy wants to see him in person. Advertisement also in New World, Charlotte Linland's territory, international. The ant held the cake in one hand and looked at Blackbeard's bounty with the other. This is very interesting. 50 billion. Even Rox and Roger didn't have such a high reward back then. And Roger's son is about to be executed. Naval headquarters is bound to be busy these days. But that monster is in the Marine. Even though it's now the 5 elders, something big like this should happen. Come to think of it, I haven't seen that guy take action in a few years. I wonder how much he has grown. Charlotte Linland was extremely wary of Su Ming's strength. The main reason why she has been able to do business with the night bar honestly and not cross the line in these years is Su Ming. This guy is capable of overthrowing the entire world single-handedly. Charlotte Linland took a deep breath and pondered for a moment. Katakuri, go prepare the ship. We will go to the naval headquarters in person. Red Hair Pirates. Shanks was leaning against the railing on the boat, looking at the newspaper and the reward in his hand with a serious expression. This time, the world order is really going to be disrupted. Su Ming is already a 5 elder, but he's still so restless. The world cannot be thrown into chaos now. The captain's legacy has not been fulfilled yet. All the major forces in the New World are making their own plans, but they are all preparing to go to the naval headquarters, and at the same time decide not to miss this major event. Meanwhile, 9 Snake Island. Hancock was in a bad mood when he just returned to the palace. I went to the naval headquarters, but I didn't get to see my dear master Su Ming. Instead, I spent several days with Su Ming's apprentice Shirahoshi. Your Majesty, I have something to report. Hancock had just sat down when a female guard came up at an opportune time. Hancock, who was already in a bad mood, frowned. What's up? Your Majesty, during your absence, a man came to the island. Look. Without waiting for the female guard to finish her words, Hancock snorted coldly. Do you need to report this kind of thing to me? Since you are a man, you will be executed if you come here without permission. Next time if you bother me with such a trivial matter, you can jump into the snake pool yourself. When the female guard heard the word, snake pool, she trembled and quickly bowed her head to apologize. Yes, I know I was wrong. I will deal with him right away. Hancock snorted. Really, it's all troublesome. Oh, Master Su Ming, I miss you so much. Hancock was very depressed after going to the naval headquarters but failed to meet Su Ming as he wished. Hancock picked up the newspaper prepared by the servant and took a look at it. It's this Blackbeard. If this guy hadn't captured Master Su Ming's nephew, I would definitely be able to meet Master Su Ming. Don't let me meet him. Advertisement. Hancock gritted his teeth and cursed Blackbeard in his heart for ruining his good deeds. Outside the palace, there was a sudden loud shouting sound. Let me go. I didn't cheat. Let me go. I have to go save Ace. Hancock's hands trembled in the chair. Ace? Hancock turned his head and looked at the guard beside him. What's going on outside? The guard hurriedly said, Your Majesty, they should be escorting the man who broke into the island. That kid doesn't seem to be very smart. He's been yelling about saving his brother these past 2 days. He's been making a lot of noise. Hancock didn't hear the other words except the word Ace. Hancock stood up suddenly. The female guard beside her was startled. Your Majesty, you. Hancock ignored him and walked out of the palace. Stop. The guards escorting Luffy were startled when they heard Hancock's voice. Your Majesty, please forgive me. This guy is too noisy. It's my negligence. I'll cut off his tongue to make him shut up. The female guard thought that Luffy's shouting had disturbed Hancock. Hancock ignored the guards and walked straight to Luffy. Looking at the somewhat silly Luffy, Hancock asked, "You know Ace? This Ace?" Hancock placed the newspaper in front of Luffy. Seeing Ace's message, Luffy's eyes lit up and he nodded quickly. "Ace. It's Ace. Let me go now, I want to find Ace." Luffy continued to struggle, and the escorting female guards were unable to hold him back. "How dare you? Don't be rude in front of His Majesty, or I'll starve you for 3 more days," the female guard scolded Luffy. "How outrageous! Hurry up and let go of my nephew. Prepare the banquet, hurry up." Seeing that the female guard was slow, Hancock personally helped to untie the rope that was holding Luffy. Looking at Luffy, Hancock had a loving expression on his face. "It's okay, it's all a misunderstanding. Luffy, I'm your aunt. Hurry, check what my nephew wants to eat and prepare it all for me. If you don't treat me well, I'll throw you into the snake pond." Luffy looked at Hancock in confusion. "You want to be my aunt too?"